A pleasant good morning. Yes, sir. Good morning, good morning, good morning to Greater Kariku and PT Matnik.
You have a license. You leave your license in the car.
Good morning, Mr. Callis.
Morning. Morning. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad, not too bad. Fine,
Great.
thanks. Are you on air?
Yeah, we're live. I always go live at 10, so I guess, and yeah, so we in full bloom.
Well, special good morning to you and to all of your viewers and listeners.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. And as this saying goes, today is a good Saturday. Oh wait, and I want to thank you for being here. My regular crew, Delbert and Unison is here.
Welcome,
yeah.
gentlemen. Welcome.
Yeah. And today the focus is on you. And as our Council General and what you're doing in the community for our people, by our people. And I hope that today focusing a little bit on the fire, and then tomorrow our community will be hosting the brunch. So that will be part of our discussion this morning and the way forward.
Lovely.
Yes.
Well, I have 45 minutes
okay
for you and our listeners and viewers today. We can have more time another time.
Okay.
But it's a tight day, so let's dig right into it. Let's dig in.
Unison is here, and so good morning, Mr. Unison Bonner Joseph.
Good morning, comrade. Good morning, Good morning, all.
Morning to you, Mr. Joseph, and morning to Mr. Delbert Batiste. How are you doing, Delbert? I haven't seen you in a while.
They were hiding somewhere.
somewhere.
Yeah, I think so yeah, CG is Jerry Hopkins, our Council General in Toronto. To Canada, Toronto. Yeah. Correct me here.
I prefer if you say our Consul General in Canada, who's based in Toronto. Because I'm Consul General for everyone in Canada, all Grenadians in Canada, not just Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, and you said a while ago, by the people, and you were so correct when you said that, because no CG could be, effective in serving the people if he or she is not engaged in the people.
Right.
And you have here with us this morning one who's very engaged in the process, and that is Unison Joseph. And I'm happy that he's on with me as we speak about what we are endeavoring to do here in Toronto, because without the various heads of organizations, the various Grenadian leaders in the community, and of course, without initiative and plans and a willingness to do the work on the ground, we will get nothing to talk about.
Right.
So it's ongoing, it's happening. And as for those who aren't aware of it, I've been Consul General here since the beginning of September of last year. And we are delivering. I've been listening, I've been observing, I've been assessing, I've been meeting people, engaging people, especially the heads and the other ordinary folks in the community, because everyone is important in the process. And we are trying to upgrade and maintain and upgrade and build on the past and continue with the good things and add value where we ought to enhance things in terms of consular services, the regular services, the passport renewals, the naturalization applications, for folks who would like visas to go to Grenada, we are doing all of that. The authentication of documents from Grenada, we're continuing to do that. And we're letting folks know that those services are available and they should take advantage of it, make use of it, not at the last minute. If your passport have less than 6 months or approaching 6 months, renew it. Don't wait until, because most airlines will not allow you to travel on a passport that has less than 6 months left of its life.
Right.
But beyond that, more importantly, we are engaging the community. We are trying to get a sense of what the needs are, not just of folks back home, but of folks here as well. Because if the folks here don't feel connected and engaged, we can't expect them to do more for Grenada through the consulate.
Right.
So we are doing a lot about that, and it's working. And for example, a good example of that is what's happening right now. Recently, I endeavored to create a network. We call it the Network of Grenadian Community Organizations in Canada. All of the heads of the various organizations, we have 23 of them, scattered, dispersed across Canada. We have a chat room where we getting everyone in there so we can share ideas, or concerns or needs, share information about our plans, and build together, coordinate. For example, one of the outputs of that would be a master calendar of our planned annual events. So every organization will share their information. We put it in that master calendar. If we find that there are conflicts or some clash or with events that are planned in the community, we'll try to get the heads to sit down and see if either one of them would be agreeable to changing the date. If there's no adjustment possible, then we leave it like that. However, as much as possible, we want to not be competing with each other. We want instead to be supporting each other. So we find out who's having what, they share their flyers and so on in that group. And I encourage regularly the members in that group to repost those flyers, so share that flyer, to let their followers, their members know about this event that another organization is having. So it's like an umbrella collective. It's not a new organization, it's a collective of the heads. And I've also invited some consultants, people who can add value to what we're doing, because what I would like us to have going down the road is workshops, for example, on managing our finance, a workshop on bringing an expert to talk about that, the obligations, the government guidelines and regulations, all of that. Also, the value or the benefit of incorporating registering as a charitable organization with the federal government. We're going to discuss those kind of things. We're also going to have workshops on taking advantage of social media to promote our events. We get an expert to come in and talk to the heads and the PROs about that. We're also going to be having maybe something on event planning overall. We have some people among us who have a lot of experience with event planning at a high level. So we include in that collective some of our past consuls general. Consul General Jenny Gomes has agreed to join us. Consul General Don Francois is already with us. And we have other leaders in the community besides heads of organizations are going to be with us in that collective, so we can add value to what we are trying to accomplish as a people. And the fact is, the more effective we are on the ground here in the diaspora in Canada, the more we can do for folks back in Grenada, the more we can harness and tap into the resources of the diaspora. So this is what it's about. And then down the road, we're going to do, and we're already doing, trying to increase and expand trade, not just trade where we send stuff from Canada to Grenada. No, we want to see more coming from Grenada to Canada. We want to see our products on the shelves of the retail outlets here in Canada. So we're working on that. We're even working on a trade expo as we speak. We also want to see more investment, getting Grenadians in the diaspora, not just the billionaires and the trillionaires, but the ordinary Grenadian who has a savings account or some money's put aside, or who is just retiring and has a little lump sum somewhere who wants to invest and make a difference in Grenada. We're going to match them with projects in Grenada through GIDC so that they can become partners in investing in Grenada. So we have opportunities, and we're going to make things happen. As we to say it colloquially, we're going to make things happen.
We have with us now, Comrade Delbert Baptiste. I want to welcome you to your position, your place, and this thing. And let me apologize to him because for the last couple of Saturday mornings I had some challenges and we wasn't able to have the show. So I had to put something in place when I can do it, Delbert will have to take it over and do it. You know what I mean? Not because I'm not there, it can't go on. The show must go on. So
That's
they'll
right.
be prepared to step up, you and Pablo or Pablo Unison to just take the show and go with it. I don't want to be the person that always have to be there for the show to go on. Because I have some commitments to meet on a Saturday morning sometime. I just have to do it. However,
Well, let me welcome Delbert too.
yes, I was going to you because I know you were shouting that you wasn't here.
I know Delbert is one of your foundation guys from way back, because I don't know if you I've been watching your show long before I became Consul General. I want you to know that. I'm not just I'm just someone who pretending to be
No, I
400
know. You call me sometimes and give me some compliments on the shows before,
Right.
on many occasions I had asked you
Compliments and suggestions.
and suggestions. Yes, you did. You most definitely did. So yeah, go ahead. You and Delbert could do a
No. I just welcoming Delbert. I'm just welcoming Delbert.
I also want you to speak to Delbert and to the Gradient community for tomorrow as well. On the
Tomorrow, yeah.
What
We are doing tomorrow. So tomorrow is, well, I know this will be close to Delbert because Delbert is St. Patrick's man. He's a foundation man from, if I'm not mistaken, Delbert might be from Chantimel.
Yeah, he's a Chantimel man. Republic of Chantimel is there.
Yes. So Delbert, I hope none of your relatives, well, I do not know if any of your relatives were affected by this, but I mean, everyone is family. So for, what we are doing, as I'm sure you've heard, is we are bringing the community together, led by the Grenada Disaster Preparedness of Toronto organization, which has as president Unison Joseph, ably assisted by his VP Wayne Joseph and the other executive members. They are playing a lead role in galvanizing, organizing for this fundraiser that we're doing on short notice, in short order. And other organizations are helping. People are pouring in with donations towards having all the Grenadian goodies, the cocoa, the saltfish. I'll leave that to Unison. Unison will tell us what the menu would look like later on. But we have everything Grenadian, and folks are volunteering to raise funds that we're going to make available to the committee on the ground in Chantimel, made up of well-respected community leaders there who are already working with social development, already taking care of the folks who were affected, the victims of that fire. But we want to make sure that all their needs are met, not just the short term and the mid-term, but the long term as well. And I know that we're working on building back for them and building back better for them. Yeah. And we want to, but that takes money. And some of the corporate partners back home have come forward in a loving way. And but we want to do our part here in Canada. And so this is a collective Canadian effort led by the Grenada Disaster Preparedness of Toronto and the folks at GAF, the Grenada Hospitals Assistance Fund. They are helping us, especially accommodating the donations from people who would like to get a tax credit when they donate. GAF is outfitted to accommodate that, and they are helping ably. And some of the members are working very closely with Unison and his team for planning of tomorrow. Tomorrow, what is it? For those of you who aren't aware of it, we're calling it Diaspora Brunch, and it starts from around 10 a.m. And it's really free admission. If you listen closely to the message that we put out there, it's free admission. However, we asked you, we were thinking of having tickets early on, but we decided not to print any tickets. But we are saying you can donate by buying a ticket, or you can donate at the door, or you can donate in any of the cash collection cans that we have at various locations, and especially at that location. But at other Grenadian events, we have those containers for donations. But the best way is to come in free to the brunch tomorrow and buy whatever you feel like having. with the cocoa, the bakes, the saltfish sauce, the pig, whatever it is, we have it. Come and partake. It's very affordable, but it's an opportunity to give and to give back and to help our folks back home. And be counting on a large turnout tomorrow. But I know you have a following, a large following. I hope you would help us in making sure that all of your peoples, your relatives, your friends and colleagues in Canada are going to be there tomorrow at 995 Arrow Road, known as the Jamaican Canadian Center here in Canada. It's here in Ontario. It's actually located in York, not York, but a lot of folks think of it as being Toronto. So it's right here and it's happening.
Hey, so yeah, we're having that tomorrow, and the flyer is out circulating all over on social media now, and Gem FM definitely have done its share. I think it is pinned to the Gem FM page right now too as well.
And let me thank you. Let me really thank you, Sheriff, and your team for all you do to promote things Grenadian. I mean, it's like, and I know you're not doing it. You're not being paid for that. As a matter of fact, that is something, we have to encourage our people to support our own, and Grenadian businesses which have their expenses and their costs must be supported by our people. We can't always expect things to be done at no cost. So I hope down the road you'll be circulating your rate sheet so folks know what's the cost of advertising with your entity. Because if you succeed, we all succeed. You would have longevity. Your business will survive and be sustainable if you are generating revenue. If you're not, eventually you're going to just fizzle out. So we need to make sure that you can endure. And to do so, we have to support what you're doing with your business, because it's a business. Genesis FM is not just a charity show. It's a business serving the community and doing well, yes. And I know your co-hosts, they're not charging you as yet, but eventually they might want to charge you.
So we are we say it's a customary thing for us revolutionaries to volunteer to put the structure together.
Yes.
It is not easy for one man to try to build an enterprise. So as much as possible, it is okay for us to volunteer in the initial stage to ensure that we reach critical mass. Yes? And once you reach critical mass, then we start working and putting people some remuneration in the hand of the people who contributed in the beginning. I go to say that too, that the technical man behind all of this stuff, who set up the radio station for me, haven't even given a cent for it. He's great, and he dedicated himself to make sure that this thing work all the time. Mr. Kennedy 2 Cent from River Sally. He's very much dedicated to Gem FM and to make sure that we're working and doing everything. Going forward, we'll be having on our website, this show will be live on our website as well in the very near future. So it will have a news program, the whole shebang, everything, news, weather, everything will be going on. You'll go to the website and see the news, see the traffic, everything happening on our website in the near future. So this thing to be working on, but we also need your support, donation. If it could be a monthly donor of $5, $20 a month, $100 a month, whatever you can afford. It's a lump sum, because my whole idea is everybody could give $1 a month. You know what I mean? That would be a great thing. $5 a month. You have 1,000 people giving $1 a month. That is $1,000 that will help us to improve and to better able to run the show.
Certainly, because Callis, one of the things that I think we have to emphasize more, and I will be emphasizing more as we move forward, is the importance of upgrading ourselves and sustaining ourselves in order so that we are better able to do more for others. Yes. Because we can't just be focused on raising funds and talking about doing things for Grenada. We have to make sure that our peoples here are doing well. And those of us who are succeeding, that we're helping them to remain that way and to do even more. So we have to have put in place networks and frameworks that would enable that. And that is why one of the things that we're going to be launching, in addition to this network And we call the collective that we just put together in a chat room, which I call the Network of Grenadian Community Organizations in Canada, is as I said, is heads of organizations, consultants, leaders in the community in various areas, industries, who can add value to what we are doing. But that is mostly just to share information and to coordinate activities and events in the Grenadian community, and so that we collaborate and support each other more than compete with each other. But apart from that, we're going to have a collective, and primarily for business development purposes, people, business and education, people who are leading in industry, who are business owners, entrepreneurs here in the diaspora. We want them to share information more with each other, come together and support each other more, find out who is doing what. There are lots of Grenadians, very successful Grenadians here in Canada, who are doing great things, and the rest of the community aren't even aware of their presence or their accomplishments. So we're not supporting them, we're not promoting them, and they are not benefiting from that engagement. So we have to be more cohesive, and we have to create things like don't just happen. We have to create a framework to make sure that happens. I started something like that in my private life before I became Consul General. We called it After Work Networking Wednesdays in New York City. And what we brought, it was a forum where we had business leaders, established business leaders, aspiring entrepreneurs, investors, community leaders, elected officials, and concerned residents came together on a monthly basis and shared best practices. We would have one or two who would address the forum for about 5 to 7 minutes, just talking about something that they have been successful at in their business and what made them successful, what worked for them, with the hope and the understanding that would be appealing and relevant to others in the gathering. And we had 2 or so people doing that every time we met. And then we had everyone present would have 30 seconds to a minute to say who he is, who she is, his entity, his business, what his service or products are, what events he has planned or so. And the entire room would get to have an opportunity to do that.
Right.
And then we have a table put aside where everyone would have their business cards, the samples of their products or services, brochures. And then after the brief moment where people talk, the most important part of that forum, every time we met, was to mingle, to go around the room and meet people who said something or shared something of interest to you, who's doing something already that you would like to do, to learn from each other, to share and exchange information. We need that. We need that kind of community, and we don't have it yet. So, and we must have the media as a part of that, because the media, it can help to give our message the wheels we need to take us further.
I just say that yesterday when I was talking to you, I told her I had to go. A lady, a business lady from Canada 2 was here, and we was talking. And I don't know if you have seen the shows on a Friday night called Living Your Dream. And what I do with that show is to interview persons who have attained a level of success, who have a business and want exposure. So every Friday night, I interview them, give them an hour, 2 hours to talk to them about the business and what they're doing and where they're going and how we can help foster the growth through this medium on Gem FM. So coming up next on the 10th, actually, the 10th is a lady from Montreal, Donna Neckers. She'll be presenting her stuff right here on Gem FM on Friday night from 9 or 8 o'clock.
Lovely.
Following that, it would be, we have 2 other persons. I'm calling them, make it confirm for the 3rd and the 18th. But the 24th, we have Kemma Stevens, who will be here displaying her product from Grenada, what she's doing and stuff in Canada. But try to pull everybody in Toronto and around Canada that have a business, and whether you're a nurse or a doctor, a dentist, whatever you're doing in Canada here, we would like to interview you and talk to you and let the people know who you are, where you are, so you can get support from your local community people. You know, so that's what I intend to do every Friday night, called Living Your Dreams.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for that.
Yes.
And Mr. Callis, would you mind if Unison, we don't want to forget what's happening tomorrow.
Yes.
I want that to be, front and center. Would you mind if you allow Unison to tell us?
Sure. That's what the whole show is about. Is for tomorrow.
What's an offer? What's an offer tomorrow?
Yes.
What the lineup is? What the menu is like, and any other additional details you may want to share.
Most definitely, Mr. Unison Joseph. I go say White Man again. That name, when I hear Unison White Man, always stuck in my head. But go ahead, come on. And then we'll have Delbert coming after you here in order. All right, go ahead.
Morning once again.
Yes,
I seen this CCG have a special t-shirt.
I ain't get mine yet, you know.
I mean, not everybody in the diaspora is doing well. I mean, you could always donate. My size is extra large, so
the shirts are available.
Can't speak for John and Dale, but my size is extra large.
I do
the shirts.
I think you maybe you missed the memo, you forgot, but the shirts are available for you. You just have to stop by the consulate and pick up your shirt or shirts. Get one for every member of your team. That's what you should do. Come by.
Thank you. See, Gem FM works. All right, so as the CCG alluded to, tomorrow, the Grenada Disaster Preparedness, along with the Grenada Hospital Assistance Fund, will be coming together to spearhead, along with other community leaders. The reason why we take that approach, because when the community does well, the entirety does even better. So the collective, the hospital fund will be there, the Grenada Disaster Preparedness will be there. And what we are looking to actually bring the community together for this worthy cause. As you know, there's always been a spot of fires, whether it is and the disasters happening in Grenada. So what we are looking to alleviate some of that impact. You know, we cannot stop disasters. Most of it is natural. So there's little or no thing that we could do to stop it going, but we could alleviate some of the impacts of it. So tomorrow we have on menu, we have the traditional Grenadian style breakfasts, which where you have the Tanya log, the fry bake, the roast bakes, the cocoa tea. We have orange peel tea, you know, that to give you some sense of back home when the struggle was much more real than it is now, you know. When we used to use the whole orange, not just the juice.
Everything.
But we'll be healthier if we stuck to it, eh? Anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
And right there we have all the Morbies, the Lambie waters, the dry pea soup. Name it, will be having it there. And as CCG alluded to, there's you could make a donation also. If you're seeking a tax receipt, the GAF will be there to provide. You provide the information and they'll get back to you in terms of how you go about it. I'm not too familiar with it, but
and
the GAF is there for that.
Listen, let me chime in and just give folks the email address right here now. The email address to do our e-transfer that GAF can receive for this endeavor, for this effort. The email address is ghaf.toronto@gmail.com. Again, ghaf.toronto@gmail.com. That's the email address for those who like to have a tax credit, and so that when they file their taxes at the end of the year, they get a refund for the donation made. That's the email address you can have, and GAF would have representatives there tomorrow, especially Mr. Manfield Lambert, and also there would be Miss Liz Dowden, the treasurer of GAF, and others. So, and they have been doing a whole lot, working closely with Unison and Wayne and the others at the Grenada Disaster Preparedness of Toronto. Continue, Unison.
Yes. So that's the approach, and just a little bit of background on what Grenada Disaster does. Our mandate is to provide educational training, to provide and stabilize the impact of a natural disaster or man-made disaster. So, for instance, we partner with at the University of Waterloo, and we donated over 5,000 books to the Ministry of Education, and most of it was for visual children with disability reading materials, because a community that reads is a community that leads. Reading is fundamental. So in everything we do, the young mind should be molded in that endeavor. So that's one of the things we do. We also help with the Caribbean. A lot of the Caribbean islands, when they face with the disasters. St. Vincent with the volcano. We had Cuba, Barbuda when they had that hurricanes. So the disaster just don't focus on Grenada. We look at the bigger community, the Caribbean community. We also volunteer with Global Medic, one of our big partners, in whether with packing stuff to send to Syria, to Ukraine. We are always visible there, and that is something we're encouraging our community to also do. Get involved in the volunteering process, so we could better serve our communities.
And of course, Unison and your organization has a direct relationship with NADMA in Grenada.
Yes, we take our mandate from NADMA. So anything we do, we liaise with NADMA. And that was McMaster University, in that we partners with.
I also noticed that you guys have a donation box in different, and you have them at all. Could you tell people where they can find the box, if they can make it tomorrow, or the other piece, apart from doing it online, which drop-off place they can make a donation?
So the disaster, would we take the approach, Orla, as you mentioned, Orla have been a staple in the community, and I urge Grenadians to stop by and give support, because whether it is providing a place for us they call it the University on Oakwood, where we collaborate to providing food, helping out in different ways. We should always check Orla. So Orla have a box, and then every Grenadian events that we have, whether it's at the GCA, whether it is where we have the parties, the promoters and organizers allows us to have one of those donation cans. So the donation can will have a label on it that says Grenada Disaster Preparedness, and we donate at the end of the night. We collect. Our first event was one of our members had a food expo at the JCA, and at that food expo we collected $215 in that. So that's my $215 mightn't sound a lot, but 10 events you could count them at. And then we had the all white party. We also had two donation boxes there that we collected, and we still have, and we're going to have tomorrow, and it's ongoing, because this effort will not just be for this immediate term. We are looking long term, because the families, when you lose everything, no matter how much you have, if you lose everything, is everything still. And the family is going to be needing support. Some of the children, there's two children there that have some challenges, and we should be looking to really foster that family and get them on the feet. And as the CCG alluded to, not just get them on the feet, but get them to a better place. So where we build back better. And some of the things we're looking to do in the communities as well is to install fire hydrant along with NADMA, to see where NAWASA could assist in putting that pipeline, and we could get hoses and stuff to kind of, where there's a cluster of homes, because one of the challenges is getting water to the fire, and sometimes the roads are not accessible by fire trucks. So we have to find some way to use what we have and use it effectively. That is something. And I think going forward, in terms of disaster relief, I think the legislators in Grenada should look at catchment, how we build the building codes, where, if CARI could do a very good job with it. Barbuda does a good job where the houses and the bigger buildings are catching water in a, or whether it is underneath or in a catchment to subsidize, the dry season is there. And even in Toronto now, they're introducing what is called a rainwater tax. So if we're not careful and we don't see the impact, the dry season, we always hear calling Nawasa and complain about the low water. But what are we doing to help sustain that? So I think that's something the legislators should look into, updating the building codes.
And those two suggestions are very good suggestions, and in fact, the authorities in Grenada are looking at both of those. They are looking at sourcing fire hydrants that they can put in locations strategically where the need is, where, as Unison said, where there are clusters of homes, residential areas where they need quick, easy access to water in the event of a fire or so, and the idea of catchment, encouraging folks to make better use of rainwater. Not just in Carriacou does it have application; it is just as useful and important on the mainland as well. So those are considerations, and I'm certain that the Grenada Disaster Preparedness of Toronto will be doing their part along with other organizations here in trying to help source the equipment that we may need to make that happen. Unison mentioned the fact that we have these cans located, and you brought it up, Kelly's, so folks can make donations. I know folks always have concerns about, cash. Is it really going to get to where we get? Folks, I could assure you that Unison and Mr. Mansfield Lambert and myself and others involved, we have made arrangements for this to be done in a very transparent and accountable way. The cans cannot be just opened here and there at any time. It's like a cash pan that you have to break to get it open, and they are secure. We have people guarding them, looking out for them, looking over them. Besides that, they will be open, and the funds will be tallied by an oversight committee. And it was actually Unison's idea that we have an oversight committee. And so it's Unison, his treasurer. It's the head of GAF, the treasurer, and the consul general. I would sit in with that committee, and we have two other members from the community that are a part of that. So we make sure that it's balanced. It's just not one person doing this. It's done in a transparent way, because Unison and his team, they care. GAF, they care. The Consul General, we care. And the people we got involved as part of the oversight committee, they care too. And we know that it's important that when we do something and we say we're doing it for a cause, for a purpose, that we do exactly what we say we will do. And under my watch, this is exactly what will happen. So I want to give the community the assurance that when you give, the cause that you are given for is going to be the benefiting beneficiary, the ones who will benefit from your giving. So this is not going to be a problem at all. I encourage to donate, or if you want to buy food with your donation, if you want to donate in that way, come and buy all the food. Buy for you and your neighbors. Buy for everybody. But it's going to be wonderful. Unison, you want to give them an idea of the cost of the items on the menu, how it's going to be made available?
Yeah, so the cost of the item, the breakfast items, we have 3 items for $20. So you get 2 protein, a starch, and a tea, $20, and the lunch items is $25. And then we have the standalone item. For instance, we have crab and dumpling from Orla Kitchen. So Orla providing crab and dumpling, that will be sold separate. Then we have with the cuckoo, the fish, that part of your lunch items. We have dry pea soup. We have the lambi water. We have saltfish sauce. We have a Ghanaian connection. We have some friends from Ghana that donating some jollof rice.
Ooh.
And I know a lot of Grenadians is going to, so that is the kind of impact that we're trying to network, Grenadians and forming reaching our African brothers and sisters in the
I
diaspora.
love jollof rice. I love jollof rice. I didn't realize
Yes,
you had that one on the
yes.
item
Well,
list.
That
it
is
is so
secret you're supposed to
exciting.
know.
Yeah.
But when you having jollof rice, you don't need anything else. No meat, no nothing. It's a
That's
meal
true.
all by itself.
Oh,
And it,
tell
and
about
it,
you like tell about you like that.
yeah, man. If and they're different, right? So the Nigerians have a really good one. The Ghanaians think they are the best, but actually the best jollof rice is from Senegal.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to get the Senegalese jollof rice. It's unbelievable. But I have one of my Jerry. You remember John Diabo, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I was really close to them. I'm close with the family still, and his eldest son, wife, always when they come to visit, or if I go to visit, she makes sure she has jollof rice for me. And this lady can cook this thing. I mean, and when I visit, I get to eat and I get to live with a big.
That's nice. That's
So,
nice.
Good, good.
it's I actually had her donate the fall pan once to one of the NDC events in that we had in Brooklyn, and people wanted to know what it was, you know. So yeah.
I've had
Um,
the jollof rice from the Ghanaians, the Nigerians, the folks from Mali, but I've never had it
yes.
from Senegal. So I
Try
have to
try
go and
Senegal.
find the one from Senegal.
Try
But
Senegal.
it's
Try Senegal.
wonderful. Well, Unison, thank you
Senegal.
for arranging
By
that.
the way, Senegal is known for great
with
cuisines. You know,
yeah.
and they have a lot of um, sort of world class chef on the international market, both in the U.S. and Europe. They when it comes to the palate, they pay a lot of attention to. Plus, 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 I think I not conclusively, but one of my brothers did some research, so maybe that's why I've been drawn to Senegal. Even though if I always say Ghana is my second favorite country in the world, that that on my father's side, my father's ancestral roots came from what is
Oh,
today
lovely.
Senegal.
So,
Yeah.
just to piggyback on something you mentioned about, I went the Grenada disaster attended Black History Month. I had a forum. We had 22 countries, mostly African countries. Grenada disaster represented Grenada at this event, and we have the cuisines from Senegal, from Mali, from Ghana, from Nigeria to Somalia, Ethiopia, and the Jamaicans were there, the Trinidadians were there. And all the cuisine, we had Nutmeg Creole donated the time. That's a chef from Grenada. And we had our oil long. And I tell you, all of them were flocking to our station. So
All down nation.
the oil long was just permeating, even the Trini. You know what they said, you know.
Oil down and jab rule, right?
Yes. Yes. It was supreme. It was supreme. I know the CG say you have 45 minutes with us. Before you leave, I want you to give us a little more insight as to the Greater Independence Committee and those how other people could get involved in that committee, because you know when we look at it, we see the same people all the time, right? And we hardly see the youthful um side of the greater community involved in it. How can the young people get involved in the organization to
Well,
keep it going?
it's
Because without the youth, you have a dying organization.
certainly, and that's there's going to be a reset.
Mm.
I mean, I'm saying it plainly. There's going to be a reset. I've spoken to the people who are involved in the formation of the GIPC and what it was conceived to be and its purpose. And I think in some ways it's strayed a bit, and it hasn't really been doing all that it was meant to. And of course, things evolve and over time. But I think we have to reset and focus on that committee is primarily to plan the events for the independence celebrations, but was supposed to be comprised of heads of the various organizations.
Yes.
But that is not what it became. So we're going to do some. We have time, and we're doing some resetting, and one of this new network we have of all the heads. Maybe out of that will be a subcommittee that with responsibility for the planning of the independence events. So it would be reflective of the community, and what we would do, we would form subcommittees to plan different aspects of the celebrations, and that's where the young people would come in. We bring them in based on their skill set, based on their interests, based on their passion, and we involve across the board members of our community. So I think. And a lot of the people we have currently who've been serving us well over the years, they'll be involved in one way or another. I mean, this is not to exclude people, but it's to be more inclusive and to stay on focus in terms of accomplishing the goals and the mission of such a collective. So we are going to make things better, and as we get closer to where we have it all together. Maybe when I come back to your show, I'll have news on the development, how we are doing in that area. In the meantime, we are just trying to bring all the organization heads together with some key leaders in the community to make sure that we're on board together, that we know what we are each doing, that we support.
Working communication.
Also in the other provinces, in British Columbia, in Calgary, Alberta, and as well as in Montreal, in Quebec. So we want to, and I already made contact with all the heads of the various organizations, and we are many of them are in this network that I just described from the various provinces. So we're moving in the right direction, and the GIPC will be reset and upgraded, staying on focus and accomplishing the things that benefit the community here, and in turn making things better for Grenada down the road.
All right. I know you mentioned passports and so on. What's the cost of a passport? And and you talk about don't wait until it expires or 6 months. How can one get a form to fill in, who the contact person is, and so on? And that.
I encourage folks to go to our website, GrenadaConsulate.com. Go to our website, and all of the information there. The forms are there. You can download the forms from the website, and also you can call the office 416-595-1343. 416-595-1343, and all of the information is available there. The passport, the cost is $330. The person I'm supposed to meet with is ringing my bell right now, so I'll have to wrap up. Yeah. But go on the website, GrenadaConsulate.com, and you would get all the information there about how to apply for a new passport, or to renew your passport, and all of that, naturalization, getting your children naturalized, all of that. And give me a minute. You guys can talk about, because I want to wrap up properly, but let me go and attend to the door.
Okay.
Give me a minute, and I'll come back and close. Okay.
All right. Okay. So, no problem. Okay. All right. Unison, you was talking, and I know Delbert is Shantimel man, the Republic of Shantimel. And tomorrow event is specifically geared to raising funds for the fire victims in Shantimel. Can anyone, I know New York doing their thing and other places doing their stuff, right? But within the Grenadian community, what other, apart outside the Grenadian community, has there been any effort from to ask other communities? I know that the Grenadian Disaster Preparedness is liaising with St. Vincent. Is there any attempt to reach out to those other communities to assist the people of Shantimel?
Yes. So what we do, we send communication out to our sister, we call it sister organizations, whether it is St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Trinidad. we send it out to the communication, and most of them will attend, and patronize in some way or the other. They indicated. Some of the challenges is a lot of events happen around this time. And they wanted, other times they wanted to donate the food, but because of the location we have, we are restricted to what we can do. We can really do with that event. But we have another 2 events planned for later in the year, where it's just not this one event, it'll be a series of events.
Right.
And the dynamics of the events will change as we go along. One of our members indicated that one of the things we're going to have one day is an outdoor event at the park. We will have breakfast at the park or something like that. So we give a broader catchment of people to come in and really. So this will be ongoing. So we'll always be seeking the help of our partners, and anybody that wants to donate in any kind, logistically, in kind, whatever way you can, just call and we will look to assist. Even if you want to come and volunteer on the day, helping serve food, helping clean up, maybe that's involuntary support that we can look. So don't feel because you cannot give monetary at this time, but you could also support in kind.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Delbert, any from you? Go ahead.
No, listen. There's been a lot of activities in the New York area and across the pond. I'm over concerned. Unison and his team has it done right. Where they are working. And the reason they're able to do that is because the organization already exists. What has happened is that a lot of people, a lot of sort of organization has sprung up around the fire with good intentions, trying to help people. But a lot of the events are not organized and coordinated. And it goes to the point that Jerry was making earlier on, that we don't organize events to compete with each other when we are serving the same purpose. So in Unison's case, because he has an umbrella organization who has worked on this for years, by the way, they're able to approach it in a sort of systematic way. And I think it's slightly better, not slightly, it's better organized than the efforts in New York. There are a number of people doing it in New York. I was involved with one of them. I've since kind of stepped back, not because I don't want to help, but because it seems like people were doing things for themselves as against really genuinely trying to do things to help people or just to get their name out there. And I don't really want to be part of that. So my thing is that when the time comes, I'll make my own personal contribution. But if there's an organization out there that I think is doing this the right way, I'm ready and willing to work with them. But there's good things happening. There's been a lot of organization on the ground. The community Chantemelle is a very, very resilient village. I think only yesterday there was another group of Hindu businessmen that made a contribution to the fund. The parliamentary representative is on top of the issue. He has been back in the community several times, and people are housed and they're getting food and so forth. So it speaks to the point that Jerry made earlier on, that right now it's about the long term. How do we build back, and how do we build back better? I suspect there are going to be some challenges that will have to be overcome as we move to that stage. But I'm confident that all the efforts from around different parts of the world, because there are Grenadians and people from Chantemelle living in almost every corner, they're going to eventually pull all our efforts together and try to make these people whole again. So I'm encouraged by what's happening. I did see events that you're talking about in Toronto tomorrow, and I did share it with a number of people. I'll
Thank
do that.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, somebody sent it to me, and so I'll continue to do that. But the key to it is what Jerry was saying earlier on. We have to, and we probably, and Jerry, that's something that you guys may have to look at the Consul General level. How do we use all our diplomatic and Consul General's office around the world to bring our people together, maybe to set up a sort of permanent disaster fund, because there are a lot of things that happen. All right. The Chantemelle fire obviously was a big event. 5 houses burning down in any one village, anywhere in the world would be a big thing. In a small, poor country, it's a major, major disaster. So we need to be in a place where we can react immediately to these things. Okay?
Yeah, well,
so that we're not strapped.
To respond quickly and to get out, Delbert, and to say goodbye, I think the idea that you just raised is a good one. In the case of Toronto, we already have an organization that's there to serve that purpose, that is willing and able and to work with others and the consulate, so we don't have to duplicate that. But in other jurisdictions where we do not have an entity, a grouping such as Grenada Disaster Preparedness of Toronto, I think we need some consular leadership. I think you're correct about that, and we need to have such a fund, around the diaspora in every jurisdiction. It's important that we harness and tap into that in that way. And I'm certain that something like that will happen in due course. But we in Toronto here, and we are trying to get the folks in the other provinces in the other parts of Canada to do likewise, to organize and to put aside funds. Of course, if they want to have that special fund through the consulate or so, there are certain legal guidelines we have to follow when we do stuff like that. So it might be best to leave it in the hands of a not-for-profit organization such as the Grenada Disaster Preparedness of Toronto. But we'll look at that more closely and make the right decision down the road. But we have to certainly prepare and plan, because when you don't plan and disasters hit, it's a problem. The problem is 10 times bigger. 10 times bigger. But let me say goodbye to everyone.
Yes.
And Callis, thank you for having us here. Thank you for having me here. And I have to say, all of you, thank you for having me here, because the gentlemen here are your co-hosts. And it was a pleasure being here. I could report that I just got a delivery for tomorrow. You listen, I have some items to add to the menu. That's what I just got here from Brother Robert Nuss. Made a delivery. Okay. He's an expert pastry man, among other things. Yeah, we have some stuff from him that just got delivered. And I have some others today. I'll be doing a bus ride. Some community leaders of a bus ride to I think Unison might be on that too, if I'm not mistaken.
Niagara Falls.
Yes. Again?
Yes. So
I missed that one.
Yeah, so I need to go get ready for that and do a couple of things before I get out to meet the bus. So I tried as often as possible to attend community events, to engage with community leaders and our people on the ground, because I think when people know who we are, what we're about, what we're doing, and you learn more about the contributions that they can make. You don't have to be a leader of an organization to do something for Grenada. You don't have to be a millionaire to invest in Grenada. Every one of us have something to offer. We all have different skills, and some of us remain untapped because no one ever took the time to approach. I invited Jennifer Hostin to meet with me at the consulate, and I was amazed. And she said that it was the first time that she had such an invitation in that manner to talk to her about what she can do and how she can help and to recognize her for what she has accomplished. Many people do not know that Jennifer Hostin was twice-time High Commissioner for Grenada under 2 different administrations. Yeah. And many people do not know that she has a master's in counseling, and that she's a registered counselor. And she also has a master's in international politics, and that she's been an advisor, and she's been a consultant paid for by the Canadian government to the OECS as a regional organization. That she has been a diplomat for Canada in Bangladesh. That her experience is so varied, and she has a Rolodex that's none of us put together all the people we know. It can compare, and she is ready to help Grenada, and she is going to be especially focused on helping us with the teaching hospital that we want to help us raise funds for that. You know, things like that happen when you engage people.
Yes.
So
yes.
So you're gonna be seeing a lot of that, and I need all the support of everyone, and I'm happy that I have the support of so many, and I know all three of you here will help in that configuration.
Well,
so guys,
with that being said, I again want to thank you, but also want you to be here once a month to update us, the community, and what is happening, apart from just getting the flyers, you know.
Will do. Will do. I commit.
Thank
so
you
God
so
bless.
much.
Have a good day, all of you.
See you guys tomorrow.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Peace.
All right, Kiji. So, Mr. Unison, the fire, your hand had to be in the fire now, yeah?
But
So-
Delbert touched on something there,
Yes.
John. You see, whenever there is chaos and unrest, there's opportunities also. There's good opportunities and there's bad opportunities. As much as there's good people do try to do good things, there's a lot of people that use that as an opportunity to advance themselves and take advantage of the situation. I remember one year when they had a volcano in Dominica. I'm not a volcano, the hurricane. You had 3 other organizations popping up. And they had Rice Mountains, they had this, they have that, and everything, nobody knew where everything went. The issue is when disaster, like everybody hurts and everybody wants to give back. But the correct and the most trusted way to do is to find an organization that's there already, that's already involved, that you could hold accountable, not an individual. Right? So you could see transparency and accountability in those things. One of the things Grenada Disaster do is once a year, we open up our financials. We have an open event where we say, this is the amount of money we raised this year. This is what we did with the money. And we invite the public, ask questions, you know, hold us accountable, hold our feet to the fire. And you should be accountable because that's your money. You know, whether you donate or you do it in kind, you know, come out and ask the questions. How much you raised in this event? What did you do with the money that you said you was going to donate to the Shanty Mill victim? How do you know that it get there? You know, is there invoices? You know, and one of the things we don't try, well, not to do because we are registered non-for-profit, is to send physical cash. You know, that's why I work with NADMA. We send it to an entity that's could, you know, that's the steps, the chain of command, how we get to the victim, and they will report and we report back to our people. So that is something we have to look into.
We have Toro making a comment here on the conversation. He says the immediate urgency is to help the fire victims, but critical also is to try to find out the cause of the fire and if there are any preventative measures that could be taken to avoid such tragedy in the future, whether that has to do with material use for building, how homes are constructed, and they would always talk about how houses are constructed in Grenada, and response from firefighters.
Listen,
I know that, but it's big on houses.
Yes, but that I know exactly what Toro is speaking about. But that area, the houses are literally built one on top of each other. So there was no way there was going to be a fire there in one house and it didn't affect
the other one.
The others. Because the houses, I mean, this is an area where you can stay in one person's kitchen and hand the other person a bowl of sugar.
Spoon.
A pot spoon. I know, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of a number of things, but it's also they're also all families. They're all families. You know, they you know, nephews and aunts and uncles and cousins and so forth. So this is going to be a heavy lift, but at some point in time, I know we spoke about putting more fire hydrants throughout the country. That's going to be challenging because still in a lots of communities, we don't have the water pressure. Okay, we don't have the water, and then secondly, the financial resources to have enough fire trucks and so forth is going to be probably something we can't really afford at this point in time. But what probably can happen is that we can begin to train sort of volunteer fire corps, okay, in the respective villages. And if there are going to be hydrants distributed throughout the main areas, that these communities have the hoses that can connect to the fire hydrant and can begin to attack the fire before as the professional or the government service are on their way. So there are a lot of things we have to discuss it. What I would hope coming out of this is that we use this as a teachable moment, And Toro talked about the quality of material. That's another big thing. Are we going to move in upcoming years to say that if you're building a house of a certain square footage, that you have to have sprinklers throughout your house? Okay. These are the kind of conversation that we need to be having. And everybody know I'm a big proponent of wood construction. I despise concrete construction in Grenada. Obviously, in some cases, it's absolutely needed. But, when the time comes for me to build my own, it would be from wood. I would not build concrete in Grenada. It's just, it doesn't hold up. The effects of sea blasts and everything, it doesn't make sense for me. And personally, I like wood. I just like how it looks. You can do a lot of different things with it and so forth. So those are the issues that we are going to have to look forward to, and how we can keep the conversation going, and how coming out of this disaster, maybe the government in conjunction with community groups can set up a working group to help examine some of these things, because a lot of times we tend to want to heavily rely on government, and you're dealing with a small country with finite resources, and every day a sort of fire hose of problems coming at elected and representatives and so forth. So some stuff needs to be solved at the community level in conjunction and in collaboration with your representatives, with your parliamentary representatives, with your respective bureaucrats in the different ministries. But the government is going to have to create that atmosphere where you have real active community, local, maybe parish councils, zonal councils, that are actively participating in these kind of conversation, where people who are absolutely not interested in it from a political point of view, but are interested in it from advancing and improving the lives of the community, of the people in the community in which they live. Because that's when you get the most effort. That's when you get the most honest effort. Okay, so if we can move to that kind of have these kind of structures in place, I think it's going to greatly help us. Even in big organizations, in big multinational corporations that have hundreds of divisions, if the divisions are not working together, the company does not succeed. It is the same way for us. So in a village like Chantemelle, where families will come together, the village will succeed. And if you broaden it out and you say, okay, if the villages can come together, then the parish will succeed, and then it goes further up. So it's really all about collaboration and getting people who are willing to put their best efforts, best ideas forward, and for us to shelve our egos, because that plays a big part. People come in there with egos, not understanding. I am grateful that community service is in my DNA. I nursed it in the milk, okay? As a matter of fact, me and John spoke about that. When the fire, before anybody knew what was happening with the fire, somebody called me and told me, bro, there's a fire going on in Chantemelle. And he said, the first thing that came to mind is, oh my God, if your mother was still here. Because he knew that she would immediately spring into action to get stuff done. So volunteering was something I did as a child before I even understood what it was. And I always tell the story of my mother making me go and carry water or food or whatever to elderly people in the village who were the least fortunate, right? And me wanting to go and play some cricket or soccer or volleyball or whatever, and not can't grasp that, can't grasp that. And I remember there was one time when there was this competition, and she sent me to carry some few buckets of water up to Manjaloo, and I was really pissed, And when I did it quickly and came back, but by that time I was so mad at her, I didn't want to go to the event anymore. And then she just looked at me and she said, helping people or doing something for someone while expecting absolutely nothing in return is the greatest joy you can get in your life. And, I'm 12, 13 years old. I mean nothing to me, But later on, that comment from her has always stayed with me. Has always stayed with me. And I remember talking to my daughter about it. I know she volunteers in doing a number of different things. So, but there is a real joy. There is a real joy that you get from helping someone, genuinely helping someone, and you're not expecting anything. You don't want anything. You just want to see that person good. Like, I forget one of the great philosophers, he say, I will see you at the top, which means I want all of us to make it. I want all of us to make it. So we have to come together, and I'm glad that the Consul General, the ideas that he promoted is exactly what we are talking about. So the challenge for us now is to put the politics aside, because we are a very politically tribal nation. So we have to figure out how to do that, and see how we can help improve the lives of our people. It's possible, man. If we come together, I can tell. I came of an age in Chantemelle when the village was sort of began to lose that terrible reputation it had as this village that the reputation that Chantemelle had. And it was the women. It was a group of women in the village who they didn't have our level of education. They didn't have our level of organization. They weren't as worldly as we are. But they decided that this was not going to be it for their children, that they wanted more for their family. And they came together in this kind of loose, I don't even know if they ever met like a group, but they would have this conversation and decided, we're going to change this village for the sake of our children. And then it became bigger than their children, because if your children are the only ones succeeded in the village, you're not succeeding. Okay? So then it became, if there's another child that's doing really well, we have to come together to help that child get to secondary school also, irrespective of who their parents are, irrespective of which political party they support, irrespective of which part of the village they came from. And it changed our village. It changed it.
So going back to your question, and just to let everyone know, Toro is a founding member of the Grenada Disaster Preparedness. So, right, and they always remain a member. So, he talks about what's the cause of the fire, how we could prevent, put some preventive measures. One of the key things we got to find the source of the fire. it could be electrical. One of the unconfirmed reports that I have, and I look for data and statistics from Grenada, but there's very little that you could go on. But someone said that a phone was left on the bed charging,
I
and
heard.
it heats up the mattress, and that's a possibility also. Plus, you have plugins, power surges. Most of those homes will have surge protection.
Yeah.
Right. And when the power goes off and it comes back on, that could create a charge. But also, remember, Grenada is volcanic. I don't know if you remember, we used to have a lot of sulfur on the ground. Places were catching on fire, like in the Dabo area, and it was very hot. They says one of the hottest day was when so that could also spark somebody smoking a cigarette, passing by, and throw that butt on the ground. All that is one of the other causes to, when you have the electrical wire in the outcharge from the house. Electrician would tell you should always keep that wet or moist. That line that goes into the ground for the excess power, that sometimes it looks corroded. That should always keep moist, the ground off.
Yeah.
Well, some people even tell you to wet it.
The modern technique, now, is to ground it off on your water pipes.
On your water, so it keeps moist.
Yeah, it stays. So any excess electricity is transferred to the water pipes. That goes into the ground. So I don't know if that might always be possible in Grenada, because a lot of our water pipes are above ground. But that's what we do here in New York, New Jersey area.
So what some of the things they do too is I know in the hot climates in Bermuda and place, they actually wet, like where you water plants, they actually wet the ground where that pole is.
So it becomes a better conductor of electricity. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that is something I think we could teach. But going back, I think we got to start from the schools.
Of course.
Whether we have trained the kids into whether responding to fires with the safety mechanisms, and stuff. We have to go into the schools and really let that school form, and even have storage areas within the schools. Most of schools in densely populated area, and you have the youths there. So something like a fire or something happening in the community, the students maybe from 5, 4, whatever or that body respond. Most of them might get there before the fight, but that's your first line of defense, is your immediate people. So that is some things I think is feasible and something that's easily to attain it. So that is some of the suggestions I think, that we have to come to a place, and they'll go touch on something which is polarizing and killing us, the political divide. I think
it has subsided in the last six months to a year, though.
I beg to differ.
You think it's worse?
I think it's worse now. I think, and that's from I could tell you from my end, I can't speak to it, but we have never gone into discussions in meetings where this is an NMP, this is an NDC. Never happened in my travels to Canada, except in this period, right? And I always say it takes leadership to develop anything that you want to develop, wherever you want to go. A sheep follows the hip of the lead sheep.
Yeah.
And the effects that you have to set a model, because Grenada, you should always look to protect the image of Grenada. Whatever we do, that is what we protect. So when political elections come, we're going to have our say. Right. We're going to have our liquor spot. But when you come into that forum to discuss the way for Grenada forward, the political thing should stay at the door. When we leave the room, then we could go back and do our community work with our political organizations or whatever. But I just think that is sending a chilling the divide in our community.
Yeah,
and that is something
I don't know.
I tend to agree with you. I've seen over my last year and a half being involved around this arena, I've seen and heard comments made, you know, towards certain people who have a different color in terms of shirts. You know, I remember I was in a forum meeting one evening, meet and greet, and the solicitor was saying, "Well, who representing this organization here?" And somebody pointed out, like, if it's the persons are enemies of the state, he's an NMP, she's an NMP. I mean, like taking shots at people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? We're here as a community to serve Grenada, right? So Unison was there, but for Grenada, for the disaster preparedness and the Grenada Association. Nobody pointed as the president of the association. He's an NMP. No, I know you listen for about almost 2 years, and only that time alone I know he's an NMP.
I still think it has subsided, and I'm going off for my recent trip to Grenada, where I found people just were willing to come together. Maybe it was because of independence, you know, but also we are a very active community on Facebook and some other social media platforms, and I have seen less sniping from the sidelines at each other. There's still some folks on both sides, including, you know, NDC, who snipe at each other for no real reason. You can't have criticized the other side for 20 years of doing that, and now that you're there, you engage in the same thing. And something happened to me actually this week. A good comrade of mine who I know posts aggressively for Peter David posted something this week that he tags me in his posts often, and it's politics, but it's not partisan politics. And we're friends. Plus, me and Peter have been friends for over 40 years, right?
Right.
So my friendship is what's most important.
Yeah.
Which political party Peter decides to support or go, that's irrelevant to me. We will have that conversation privately. So I ended up liking the post, and somebody called me and told me, bro,
it's a man out of office officiating over a piece of road.
Yes, I see you've been liking Peter, that post.
And
I'm
I
like,
had problems with that.
And I'm like, bro, do you know how long me and this comrade served on the NYO together on the national executive? We have worked together when he was in New York. We remain cordial friends. We chat every now and again. You know, I don't have to make Peter my enemy because he's supporting a different political party than I am. So I want us to move beyond that. You know, I want us to move beyond that. And where we can sort of walk away from the partisan politics, especially because you have 5 years for any government to put their stamp on it, right? It goes by very, very quickly. So if we continue to engage in that kind of negative political sniping and backbiting, we're not going to do anything. That's all we're going to accomplish. We're just going to what? And I know there are people who just put up posts on Facebook to see how many like and how many people they can aggravate, you know? And so I want us to move beyond that, man. But listen, this is the Americanization of our politics. That's an American phenomenon.
Well, the whole idea of the color issue was introduced in Grenada by a Jamaican, right? However,
and it came from,
I remember in 1974, 76 coming up, there was two different parties, the three different parties, all party shirt was white. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
All the party shirt was white. There was no colors, just GLP.
We had symbols.
GMP, and the symbol.
We had symbols. Yeah, we didn't have color. I don't like the color. I don't like the color at all. I don't like the color.
The color thing, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. I think it's something that needs to be done away with. You know.
Yeah.
My other thing is this: we are all Grenadians, and the objective of every Grenadian should be to help build Grenada and make Grenada a better place for us to live together as one. Yes?
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
moving up as one people, one future. And I think that should be the thing that we should aspire to have and to be and to become.
Yeah.
The one people, no matter what political affiliation you have. Because your neighbor house may be on fire and share NMP, where you go sit because share NMP, you will help out fire. You know what I mean?
It doesn't
Humanity come before political parties.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And collectively, even what we're doing right now in Toronto here with the fire thing, right? Because I'm from Bylands, I want to help Shantimel. What happened in Bylands with the fire next week?
Exactly.
So we have to come to a point where we take that personal responsibility to ensure that our communities, by and large, are somebody across the board and not put politics in it. Let us be Grenadians for Grenadians at home and abroad, no matter where it happens.
Yeah.
You know, when political parties start campaigning, then that's a different issue. Yeah. You know, but we only like we said, when the carnival over, we still need a better day.
We need a better day.
You know,
you
know, we have to deal with Grenada as a whole, the holistic approach to developing Grenada, and everybody hands have to be on deck to ensure that it happens. And we can't sit inside and say, oh, well, the coach ain't good at this player. we have to start playing too. You know, get ready to play the game.
I don't know. Maybe I'm hopeful, but I think we're getting a little better. I think we are.
Well, I know you said earlier on, Del, but not in this show. You said that the government have to do more of the need of coming together as a people. I think Deacon has done that well. Deacon has done that well in I don't know if you just remember that in the Independence Gala. He literally addressed that.
Yeah, I have said that one of the things that I would like to see him do more of is to speak on us uniting as a country. Okay? You don't have to like me. You don't even have to support me. But if you can help pull your communities together for the betterment of your village, for the betterment of your parish, then we all are going to be doing better. So I wanted to see him speak out a little bit more regularly on that, because in terms of the other things, they're making a lot of progress in the face of difficult financial times internationally. We have inflation worldwide. We have some large economies that are around the world have stagnated. Right now, you have oil prices going up. So all these things are going to negatively affect us because we are not a producer. Okay, we're largely a consumer nation, and so we have to look at it. But I know what coming together. If you just bring it down to your own family, in your own family, if you and your wife and your children and your mother-in-law and everybody's getting along, you see the family growing. You see it happening. You know, you can see it. You can see the family growing. You can and the whole idea of taking a united approach to things. You know, it helps fuels you, because growth is not just physical. Growth is emotional. Growth is spiritual. Growth is in terms of how do you increase your level of compassion to the people that you come in contact with. How helpful you are. How forgiving you are. All these things contribute to us making a better nation. So if we do it, if we know how important it is for us at the family. But again, if you are the only family doing that in a village, what happens? You sticks out, right? The village is not moving forward. But if you've been doing it and then you teach me and I'm doing it with my family and I teach Unison and he starts doing it with your family, the village starts to improve.
Yeah, most definitely.
You know, we hear this thing. We've been hearing it for eons. That unity is strength. It really is, and it is the only way we can move forward. For us to unite around common purposes, okay, shelve our egos, not make it primarily about us, and work towards betterment. And if we do that, we will succeed.
Yeah.
I know John had asked the CG pointed question of the growth of the GIPC, and it's a typical example. Even if you take a bucket of clean water and dump it in a bathtub of dirty water, it will change.
Yeah.
But if you take a bucket of the dirty water and dump it in a bathtub of clean water, there's a huge change. It changed the color, it changed the mask, it changed the complexion. Right? And leadership as you go, Dr. Miles says, leaders don't flock. It's like the eagle principle.
Yeah.
They don't flock.
Go up.
So if the leader want to be a dove and squawk, 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 what do you think the rest of the flock will do?
Doing the same thing. But I what you just saying, they make us say, I had a conversation yesterday, and I said, I think I posted in the group, the same group. One of the things that often happens is this, right? Leadership have to set the tone, yeah, for transformation in any organization. I could take you a good mic, you say the Johnny Water scenario, and put you a host of bad people a thief in. Guess what happened? You'll become a thief too.
Yeah.
Take I say a thief and put them among good people. They change because the environment is not what they are come. They will adapt to that environment. So the thing about it is, if you want a good result, you have to create the atmosphere for a good result. You can't have expecting a good product with and not enough tools to get the product done properly. You see? So whatever you want, result you want, the leader is responsible for creating the condition, the people are ready for the result. Yeah? So if I give you all the tools and the training, the result should be good. Yeah? Because you have the environment, the right environment, the right tools, the right training. There's no way you can produce, right? And you know what is that I say to people too, leadership in any form, people need incentive. I must have, like I said earlier, my paycheck is not a donation. It's not a charitable donation to me. I've produced for it. Yeah. So in essence, if you want people to do more in your workplace, you cannot give them a paycheck. Yes? You have to give them something besides a paycheck, something that will cause them to come back and want to stay longer or come earlier. If they just come for the paycheck, it's not the time of the gone. So we have to give them a reason to stay longer than just the paycheck. Because people don't want to stay overtime because you want them to stay overtime for you. What is it for me? 2 hours more? And then government increase my taxation? You know what I mean? So I think we need to have this collective thought process where people see nation instead of themselves. And I'm about saying, if you start in the home and develop the mindset of community in the home, it will filter out, and the community will be a better community, and the nation will
be everything starts in the home, man. Everything starts in the home.
Everything. Yeah. But we have to take personal responsibility, and I'm calling on men in general, because I think what happened, I think we leave a lot of the responsibility up to our women to do everything in the home. Even raising the kids. The children see us and they fear us. But how much time do we spend nurturing and having a conversation with our sons, especially? And it is said that most children from single parent home, right, the boys especially, end up in more trouble than if a single father raise a child, right? A single father raise a child is equal to a heterosexual couple raising children together, right? What we see happening over the years is that fathers are become absent even when they're present in the house. Yes? We need them and we need men to be more involved in raising their children. And say that I was proud of Delbert also, for raising his daughter, helping and be part of her life right through. A lot of men don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it. Because I couldn't imagine anything else for myself. And it's funny. Yesterday I was working on something and I had some trouble as usual converting some files that I wanted. And I texted her and I'm like, whenever I need her help, I will text her. I will be like, Ms. Baptiste, And she'd come back immediately, Father, what do you want? What do you want me to do for you right now? Because she knows.
Same thing
And I
here.
say, I have a file here. I'm having trouble converting it to what I want to work on it. I'm sending it to you. And you just say, okay, your bill keeps going up. I just wanted to know your bill keeps going up, But in 10 minutes, I had my file converted to the document that I wanted, and I was able to work on it last night. I can't imagine not having that kind of relationship
You have
with
to
my
have it. You
daughter.
have to have it.
Yeah,
I can't.
but you see, John, they say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
War, yeah.
And I believe it. Society, and not a excuse for fathers, but I think society, black males have been demasculized. And we is the only culture that you have a black woman who says she's a strong, independent woman. She don't need a man.
But
The society,
to do that.
we are being conditioned. So you see the boys have been lagging behind. Now, when you talk about the woman and the household, sometimes the man in the house becomes one of the woman child as well, because she have to, baby him, feed him, maybe put on the clothes. But when the woman take care of his health, the home is become more protective.
Yes.
So because when she tell him, Mr. Man, you have to go and do your health check. You have to do this. Because living it on his own, man is not wired in that way.
Listen to me.
So the woman have to take a leading role.
These women who talk about they're strong, they have no idea what they're talking about. I grew up with a strong woman. I grew up with a strong mother. But there was never any time that my mother did not know that the head of the house was my father.
Exactly.
She never challenged that, because I remember as a young boy growing up, we would sit around the table and be discussing a family issue, and my mother was very vocal, and she would go around the table and ask, what do you think? Whatever, and then she would say her part, and then she would just calmly turn it over to my father and say, so what do you think, and what's going to be the decision? She always left the final decision to him. And she was, and these women who today calling themselves strong, my mother would have them for mince meat before they knew what was happening, because she was running 20 different things at the same time, right? Full-time job, full-time wife, full-time entrepreneur, full-time mother for the village, nurse, doing everything. She would have them as mincemeat.
I think
so nobody
I think what happened is a misconception. I think the miseducation of our younger black women today by the feminist movement have transferred some kind of thinking that they must get a career, they have to get this, and the career empower them. They have to buy their own car, they have their own house, they have their own food, and when the man comes in, they want to dictate to him how to live. Like they become the parent of this man. I had a show last time, and a woman called and asking the question, if she should take back her husband. He left for a week. And so why he left? She was talking too much, and she ruined it because it's her house. He married to her. She had the house already. And probably she wanted to exert authority over him as the house is hers. So he get fed up. He take off for a week. Then he come back, asking if she take him back in. So I asked who the house for. He said, well, she bought the house and she married him. I said, it's no longer your house alone. It's both of your house now. You don't forget what you bought before. So the thing now is that they want to control, they want to be like the man. So two male crab, can live in the same house. Not gonna happen. Be a feminine.
I'm all for women empowerment. I have no problem with that. If you want to have your career, you have your career. But your work is not your life.
Exactly.
They would replace, if you leave, you quit your job or they fire you or whatever, they ain't gonna miss you. Within 48 hours.
You'll get replaced.
48 hours. Nobody ain't gonna remember you after that. But if you're gone from your family will miss you, and they will remember.
Exactly.
We have
I
to know where
saw
our priorities are.
there, but and listen, I saw a post because I was getting ready for the show, and this lady said she was humble. She had her husband, and everything, but then she have a career, she got promotion, she job, she had marriage, and she job, and she came home and she feel that she need her husband, she divorced him, and she sternly says, one, she miss him. He married, happily married for many years, and why she laying down on her back every night for a different man, trying to find love and find comfort. If she knew, she'd have stayed her husband. She get the power and the thing get to her head. Understand? And she lose it all. She devalues herself. She go and sell the things of another woman again who just, she's not on the corner selling herself, but what she doing in her own home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we have to get and train our girl children. Yes, you could become a wife, not a girlfriend. One, to prepare them to become wives. So a man find something good. And as part of that, we have to instill those things in our girl children. Have this conversation with them, not prepare them to be a wife, not a girlfriend. Because girlfriend can all be used and dropped. When you become a wife, it's more difficult, to drop you. Because it is something that is, I mean, most young people are looking to get married then, but now they want a career first before they get married and have children. When they reach 45, they realize, wow, I can't have no children, I have no family now. No man looking for 145 years to marry to have children. It's not going to happen. So why men going for younger girls? No, because those girls who get the career and have the money, men don't worry about that. No, the men don't study them anymore because you can't reproduce after your own kind now with me. Yeah, all you have is money and a career and a house. I don't need that. I could provide that for myself. When men go see a woman, they think about a family. Women see men looking for protection. They want to become. They see men as a prize to be won. Men is the prize. Women are no longer the prize. Men is the prize right now. You know what I mean? And men trying to protect the price. Women become a liability to them, and men become an asset to women.
John, you might get an email saying you are anti-feminist or you must.
But that's the truth. Women become liabilities. Men don't want to marry. Okay, think about it, Delbert, and you listen, right? I'm married to you, yeah? And I think, if I'm married after 5 years, one child, the chance of you becoming divorcing me, because 90%, right, of divorce is filed by women, right? Yeah? What?
Yeah.
So in 5 years, within 5 years of marriage, 50% of all marriage end in divorce for sex, money, and communication. Other than 50%, right? 80% get remarried again. Other than 80% that get remarried again, 75% get divorced again. And all of those is 90% by women. Men want to keep their marriage, want to keep the family together. Women want to leave. Now, imagine for a moment that you're married to somebody. You build an enterprise, you build everything up on yourself, right? And then you get married to somebody who have 1 or 2 children, right? And now men don't want to marry nobody who have children anymore. You keep your child for yourself, go back and find a baby father, whatever. You're not married nobody. No, men are not up not to marry women with children now, because they realize that if they're married to you, right? And then you divorce, you build a bond with those children. The children not just, you leaving, the children going. You go with half of what I have, if you just have a prenup, and then you have to pay your spousal support, right? I had to pay, and according to in some jurisdiction, I had to pay for the children once they're under 18 still. So there's nothing for me to gain, but all to lose. So men prefer to start with a woman with their children. They could start, if they leave, they still have an attachment to the children. When the children is not yours, more than 90% of the case, you have no obligation, and the children have no obligation to associate with you, because she and the children gone, and they have to give them half. So
the male now decide to have tourist relation, they visit and go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not, marriage is not in the best interest of the man anymore. And men are opting out of getting married. Men are more skeptical of having a relationship with anybody. They prefer to have a friend without benefit. They go there, get a fling, and they go back in the nest for themselves. They don't want to, because after you build all your stuff up for 5 years, 40 years, 20 years, and become successful, and somebody come and take half of that after 5 years of coming together with you. Most men, and you go on the radio, you see, they're talking about it. They see women as a liability. not an asset to them, not a helpmeet anymore. Someone who come and take to leave. And men are not settling for that anymore.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
John,
why
when you look at the community in Grenada and thing, the women are excelling, and the boys are being left behind. So the dynamics
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
household
that is true.
very
has
true.
turned, right? And if you look at the statistics, is that the women is actually owning and
More money.
running the homes. The problem, I think, comes in where the cohesive and the conversation that they will talk about between the male and the female. So even though the woman is the higher owner bringing the bread, the male should be still respected. That conversation, because in the other races and the other cultures, the male is still the head of the household.
Always.
But it's fine in the Black community and our little community, the women are coming out in a more assertive way. You got to listen to me, especially if they're petite. You find them, you know. So that kind of a thing, we have to find a way to target the boys, the young males, instill that sense of, because the males are lacking also. The males, they have to put up their socks. But what programs are we putting in place for the young boys to
I say this to say
well remember, right?
Is very important.
Remember, we used to have these male groups of leadership in Grenada, and one of them was the Police Boys Club.
Okay?
Oh yeah, you had it in different communities, and you were taught, discipline. You learned different leadership skills. Another one was the 4-H Club. These were all groups that helped to even the church groups. The CYO and all the other organizations that were largely groups where the membership was male, and you had sort of male role models coming out, and I mean, I had a lot of, outside of my father, I had a lot of other really good male role models in the village, including some of my teachers, including some of the friends of my father, and along that line. And that has sort of disappeared. So we have to look at rebuilding some of these things. Not every modern trend has benefited us. Not every modern trend has benefited us, because if you lose that sense of community, and you lose that ability for young men to grow up into leaders in their family, then that's irreplaceable. That's irreplaceable, and it's going to have a multiplying negative effect on generations to come. So we have to be careful about this thing.
I think it's important for fathers to be involved in the raising of the young boys as well, and as much as the woman should be part of that training, because she would allow her son to treat her nicely, and therefore she must teach him how to treat a woman. So when my daughter meet her son, he get a son that know how to treat a woman because mommy taught him well. Likewise, the daughters should be trained the same way, how to respect and how to be able to work with the husband as a helpmate, not a competitor, right? To bring peace in that man's life, to help him to grow and to be better and have better. So the family unit will be better structured. But when we do not have those kind of teachings, I mean, they say nothing from nothing, leave nothing. And I think that's where we have to start training our young men and young women and preparing them for family life. I think we spend too much time outside of that, trying to do every other thing instead of trying to build healthy families. And our life, like I said to someone the other day, if the church and Christ relationship is what marriage should be, our marriage, our relationship should reflect that. Yeah? That oneness of God and the church. So our husband and wife marriage should be reflecting the kingdom of God in the household. So if that is done, we will be able to have a better society. And I think what is missing, the element of our spirituality, in a lot of cases, not religion, but spirituality, and we follow the order of things as it should be. Today's society, everybody want everything quick. You know, who get it fast and get it first, not even if it's right. But you know what I mean? Just getting it is some of the narrative that is out there. I just want it, and they just go and do it. They don't care. You know, I think we that need to be addressed, and it starts in the home, whether you're a single mother or not. And I have some single mother friends that raise their sons very well. You know, become doctors and become police officers and stuff like that. So I think a few of us, a few of them that did not take the mantle well. They didn't pass the baton well. You know, I saw a funeral with a man have the baton in his hand. He refused to pass it to the next generation. He go with the baton. You know what I mean? We can't go with it. You have to pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is something I hope the CG will look into. And he talked about how you ask him how the youths get involved. Well, I think, you know, if for you to have the youths involved, you should have a youth group.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can't have the older heads like myself and them sitting there and dictating to the youths what our vision are. We could provide some kind of guidance, but you have to let them form the path. And I think that is where we're lacking. We sit there and we said, the youths come in. I remember in the beginning, the youths came in. There were like 3 or 4 young ladies in the beginning, came in, and they said this is what they wanted to have, this youth things. And they put it a hold. But then the older head said, no, this is not how we do things. You know, this is, but how would it grow? And things evolve, you know. That's the same problem we have in leadership. You know, if a leader supposed to have to train future leaders.
Exactly.
Not a leader is there and he have the same workers. You know, a leader develop leaders. Yeah, so if we see the need, we can't leave because this thing is going to fall apart and not how we do it. When we die, what's going to happen?
Exactly.
Or we can't do it anymore. You know, so, you know, it's easy to say, okay, but if you have the same people, you have to have a dynamic youth understudy. You have to have people coming in and say, okay, we've been doing it this way, but John might come in and say, but we're doing it wrong that way. But
can
listen.
You imagine? You know, I want to piggyback on this, right? I work in 2 different companies for 14 years, 12 years each, 12 and 14, right? So I have that amount of experience in the job I'm doing right now for another company. I walk into this company, and as I walk in there, I realize that, whoa, they've been doing something that I did 20 years ago, they're still doing it today. Yeah? I use a spray gun for 12 years in one company, work perfectly fine. I find out that I look in that thing and there's a box of spray guns, and they just need a needle, and they just dump it. I watch what they're doing. I see they're doing everything according to Barking Douglas. They're going the wrong way down Ryerson Road, you know, and they spend X amount of money. So I take pictures of stuff and I have it there, the way they do things, and I say, that's what I do. He said, yeah, that's how we've been doing for the last 20 years, you know. And I'm saying to them, I see this thing out there in the condominiums. I see it. I'm saying, who do this job? It's not good. And I go back there right now, and this company is coming and working for now, they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I decided to change it. You know, so I started taking notes of everything that is being done and to make recommendations for change, because you cannot be doing the same old thing the wrong way. Because you know what they say, one-eyed man is king in blind man country. There are whole of blind people led by one blind man who have one-eyed man. So I show up my 2020 vision now. Oh, we've been doing it for 20 years. You know, you have to take a wrong sander and try to sander at the corner of a door and leaving that semicircular thing on the door. Yeah. It's wrong. You can't. You need a square sander. You do the square edge. You know what I mean? Using wrong sanders. They're not doing. You know. So I'm thinking like 20 years. Nobody could see the other side of the equation here. It's wrong. You know. So I had to do over a number of things for this for two people in there for years, and now the people are looking at, oh, this guy doing something different. He's looking better. So I had to do over. I come home the other day, I was so tired. I just fall asleep on the couch. I mean, having to just do mine and then do theirs. I'm doing 2 set of people's job besides mine, just to make things work. I'm thinking that can't go like that. I have to fix that. And that reminds you, I'm just the person who go in there now. I'm just 1 month on the job, and I'm like 20 years of experience, of been doing wrong there for 20 years. Imagine that. So I had to fix that. So we have to be able to identify weaknesses, and create new ways of doing things. Yeah, enhance what was, because we can't do the same thing over and over. Young people want that position, want to play their part. Let them come and play a part in the stage of life.
Yeah.
We can't put them big back and say, well, we used to do that for 20 years like that. That's not how we do. No, you cannot do that. That's one of the things about the revolution. And I always go back to the revolution, right? Why it was able to become and have the success that it had. Yes? I watched a race the other day with a girl running, and she runs so fast, she trip and she fall down. And I laughed, and I said, my God, we run so fast that we trip over ourselves. We are doing well, and all of a sudden we trip and fall, right? But youthfulness need guidance. So we cannot say we don't want them around us. We need to educate them, we need to help them, and they will come with creative ways to do it better.
Yeah.
So we shut them out and we die. What happens?
Yeah.
You gotta incorporate them. No. Grab them into the fold and let it take over from us. If a leader cannot find a replacement, he's a failed leader,
A failed leader.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any leader that cannot find a replacement is a failed leader. Leaders cannot maintain followers.
Yeah.
You have to create leaders. So we have a situation in Grenada now in our politics with the NNP leadership. I mean, how you say you can't find people around you? What have you been doing for the last 25 years? Since you get in the politics the first year, you start looking for your replacement and train a replacement.
Yeah, that's the most basic and granular failure of anybody who says he's a leader. Yeah. If he did not train somebody to take his position,
and then you have leadership leaders emerge as well.
Yes.
If you can't do that, if you can't do that, you have failed the 101 of leadership.
Yeah. It's simple, and then leaders just emerge.
Yeah, because
but you have to recognize and capture
lots of people emerge, but lots of leaders emerge, but leaders are both born and made. Some people are naturally born leaders, and some people have to be made are made into it because they're given the exposure, they're given the mentorship, they're given the training, and thing. But if you're in an organization and you can't identify people who you want to continue your legacy, so to speak, or to continue to expand and grow the organization, you would have failed. You would have failed.
You have to create the environment for people to grow, and you have to be the source of that transformation. Yeah. And if you don't have it, find it. Get somebody who could do it for you, because there is people out there that can help transform any organization. They have the skill set, they have the know-how, right? Put them in place. And don't leaders think that they do it all by themselves. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Steve Jobs said he run Apple as a startup. Yes? He give people responsibility to do one person. I want to be responsible for this. And if you need to get two people to work with you, fine. But I don't want to build no organization within an organization. You responsible for making the chip. Whoever and whenever you want to do, get the people to do the chip for you. Find out the best way to get it done and get it done. Yeah? And it work. We gotta use his strengths. Find what Bob is good at, and let Bob do it well.
Yeah.
Give Bob the tools to do it well. Delbert is good at making mics. Delbert, I want to make some mics for you. What you do, and Delbert will do mics. So don't try to see because look at the jealous of Paul, because Paul getting accolades. You do yours. You do you. And do it well. And
play your position.
Play your position. Play your position. You can't go wrong playing your position. And I think a lot of times people forget that. You're there to play a position. Whatever area of expertise you are in, do it and do it well. Do it well. And you'll find out that, you know what? I am going to be the best at what I do. Yeah? And you make a point to do the best of what you're doing. And the whole thing, the organization wins. Yeah? Not about you, but entire organization. So do it with the organization in mind. If I do it, not I winning, but organization winning. And sometimes leaders are afraid. Is afraid to shift or to give people responsibility. They think that person will get all the credit. But what they realize is that once the job is done well, the person who you give responsibility to become that person, they will attribute all their success back to you for the opportunity that you give them to serve. And I think sometimes leaders forget that. You know? So you have to give people opportunity to serve you and to serve the organization well. And that's how things changes. You know? You have to do that. So leadership is key to growing people and focusing on building people up. If you can't build people, you can't lead them. You know, you have to build them up to lead them. And people will praise you for giving them opportunity to serve and serve well. Yeah? Because what people want to do is to become better, to have better, and to live better lives. And if you could attribute their success to you, give them opportunity to grow, then nothing beat that. Nothing could beat that. Because they know, if, they're not given the opportunity to serve and to be part of this, and now I have to give him credit for it. He's the one that put me in that place. He opened the door for me. I remember a story with a gentleman who was very successful. He went to gamble, he lost all his money. Yeah? And when he was walking out in Texas, walking out, he wanted to use this store, and a guy gave him a quarter. And when he was going to open the door, somebody come out and open the door for him. And he take that quarter and he go back and gamble and he win, become a millionaire again. And the guy who was interviewing him asked him, "I'll show you glad to meet the guy that gave you the quarter." He said, "No." He said, "Why?" The guy gave the quarter. He said, "No, I want to see the guy open the door for me." You know? Because if that guy didn't open the door for him, he had to spend that quarter to get inside the store. You want to see the guy that opened the door. Sometimes we have to look for people who open the door for us. You know? And give us the opportunity to serve. And that what makes all the difference. The people who open the door for us. So let's look for the doors. We always try to open the door for people, not for ourselves, but for the people. And then you'll find out that, wow, we have become and we have been able to develop people instead of trying to do ourselves. We can always try to do ourselves, but do people, and that will make a difference. That's what.
Yeah. No, listen, it's a fundamental thing, and it happens across the board, right? So in every aspect, in everything that we do across the full spectrum, you have to have leadership, whether it's in the family, whether it's in your church, whether it's in the school, in a workplace, in a company, in a country. You always have to have people who have the ability to step up and see things bigger than themselves and point. It's what vision is about, right? And if you don't have that, you fail, and like I said, I think there's going to be, I don't quite want to call it a reckoning, but I think there's going to be a pushback against that sort of emasculation of the Black male, which has progressively happened in the last 40 to 50 years. And in particular, it happens in the United States. And one of the things that the United States is very good at, it's selling its soft power. So whenever things become trendy in the United States, somehow it takes roots in other countries. Okay, but there's a lot of pushback coming from some parts of Europe, from some parts, certainly from the continent, and beginning here in the United States, coming out of certain cities like Chicago and some other cities that are saying, we have to do better with our young Black males coming up, that these men can actually save. We need leaders. We need people who are going to save us from ourselves, right? And there's going to be a pushback. There's going to be a pushback. And as Unison said, all women are the only
race of women.
Race of women who talk about being strong and being independent and they can make it on their own. Take, for instance, this week, right? There were, I think, 30 or 32 young men picked in the first round of the NFL draft, right? They all became instant millionaires.
Right.
30, yeah, there were 32. 30 of them were Black. Okay? The 30 Black men who were picked, who became instant millionaires, were all there with their white girlfriends.
Boy.
Not one of them
had
a
Black
girlfriend.
Think about it
okay?
for a moment.
And listen, there's a lot behind that, right? Primarily, the main reason is that a lot of Black women, a lot of Black men are now what you spoke about, wanting peace, that sense of peacefulness, where
Black woman.
And you're not getting it from them. So more and more of them are moving away. Also, it is quite possible that a lot of these guys came from very, very, very humble beginnings. And in college, they found this white girlfriend who sort of held them down, who provided them with finances when they needed it, whatever. Yeah. Even some of them may have needed help tutoring. So now they're not going to walk away from them, because that was the person who held them down for the 3 or 4 years that they were in college, you know. But the fact that can be happening, where you have 30 out of 32 young men who are going to enter the most popular sporting league in the country, they all became instant multi-millionaires. And they all are going to more than likely marry a white woman.
Yeah.
That's a problem in our community. And we have to figure out a way how to fix it. Because, so I mean, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I try to read as much as possible on what are some of the causes of these things and the possible solution. But I mean, I know as far as I'm concerned, and there's nothing more godly than a Black woman. So I don't know, for me. So I would not be able to do it, but I'm not faulting them for doing it. I'm not,
But then that comes with some added impacts too on the Black culture, because
of course it does.
When you're talking about some issues of race issues, speaking out, because now these 30 players have a platform.
Yeah.
And the most, I remember Michael Jordan when there was an issue on race, and he refused to speak, and he was one of the most powerful Black men at the time.
Yeah.
On the race. Yeah. So even that.
Yeah, but he was protecting his brand. And the other athletes who had done that before him, O.J. Simpson was one of them.
Yeah.
O.J. had done that before him. He didn't care anything about Black culture, or while the Black community held him up, he couldn't care less about them, And there's been others along the way, but and now it's a different era. So if you're a Black prominent athlete and you speak out, I mean, LeBron James has been speaking out on social issues for a while now, and it has not affected his brand, because this guy has just carried himself in a remarkable way. I mean, just unbelievable, just unbelievable. He's the epitome of a strong Black male, and I'm not talking about his basketball. I'm talking about how he carries himself, how he leads in his family, how he behaves, what he projects. You can just see it. So more of them are able to speak out now because the playing field is a little bit more level right now. But still, you have all these young men, and that's just one league, and it happens across the board,
Mhm.
So we have to look at that. We have to look at that, because in some way, that is leadership that's going to be lost in our community.
Big time, big time. Well, the time is now what, 12:30, 12:22. I want to just piggyback on something that a conversation that's going on out in the chat here. Lincoln Deputy and Pablo have been talking about some it's already fire, but some of the party politics here a little bit. Not based on any scientific reading of social media. The viciousness of party supporters has just changed color. Lincoln can you say, Delbert, you are the exception. The exception can be extrapolated and used as the norm. You and I have discussed the issue of genuine call from the top, for national unity, even if no one heed our call. And I think in recent times, I mentioned earlier on that Deacon in the last independent address called for a national unity among Grenadians at home and abroad. I think as a leader, I think that's one of the first policy steps to make. I think the problem is bigger. I think the problem is always the foot soldiers. That even though the call is made, they still find in themselves to attack the other party members. And I think leadership have to enforce, in a way, how we should live, set the tone, and because when I see, and I think one of the things that often happens now, I see our politicians will be a social gathering together, laughing and talking together and having fun. I think that is very important for people to see them walking together, talking together and having fun, and not being in one another throat. So I think that is a good example. When I see Peter David and Deacon and the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister talking and having a laugh, that should send a message to our people that this is how we want to run Grenada. We still want to live as one, people have fun and still be, but when business is business, when we do the business, we do the business, but we should not be enemies of the state and in the state. So I think it's important for us and for them to send that message to the followers. Right?
Well, but you have to talk about it, but there's some practical things that we can do, that you have to do to send the message. So, for example, one of the things I've been always critical about is GIS. Okay, GIS is the government mouthpiece, so to speak.
Yes.
So why not on the board of directors for GIS make sure that you appoint people from both political sides?
Yes.
Why not have programs where people from both political parties are seen having genuine conversation, dialogue, and there are other areas, that might not be possible in every single area, but there's some definite areas where we need to see political leaders from different sides of the aisle collaborating with each other and sending a message to people that we are all in this boat together. And when Grenada has been, because at different points of time in our history, we have been united. We have been united with singular purpose. All right. And whenever we do that, we tend to make the most progress. Okay. In the late 60s and early 70s, whatever you want to say about Gary, Grenada was a united place. Gary had the massive support, and he would do things that would help people. Okay, he didn't do enough, but people would come together. People would come together for community projects, for all the different activities that he used to have. Okay,
Yeah.
we experienced that before. He brought that whole question of uniting a people for a singular purpose in his revolution of 1951. Okay, and then again we saw that in the early, probably in the first 3.5 years of the revolution, where people were united, understood that we were trying to build a different and a better society, and people were willing. I know people who used to work the 8 hours and go and volunteer another 2-3 hours at night, or sometime before they go to work in the morning, just to ensure that a community project gets off the ground, and that the larger community benefit from it. So I want to see these practical things, because we cannot just talk about it, whether people who we appoint as ambassadors, people who we appoint as head of commissions, that we try to make these bodies as bipartisan as is humanly, physically, and politically possible. Even though nobody's asking for 50-50 representation, but maybe it should go down at the line of the vote. So if it's a 60-40 split or whatever, I don't know. There are different things that you can do. But you have good people on all sides. So let's tap the best people that we have, irrespective of the political party that they may support. And once somebody is not deliberately working double overtime to sabotage your program, I don't care what politics said. I don't care. I literally don't care. All I know that we are working towards a common goal. You're putting your best efforts. If you see me sliding, you see me failing at something, you stretch out your hand, pull me up, and hopefully I would have learned from that I can do that for the next brother or the next sister. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I really want to see our country united. I want to see us united. And we are not where I thought we would have been when I was a young man. So I want to see us leapfrog into the future. And the only way we can do it is to have greater unity among ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think it's Pablo that touched on a point where he mentioned social media, the politics have become. And if you remember, when the Rwanda genocide started, it was a radio station. And I think in Grenada context, you've seen on both sides the divisiveness. And it becomes, being a certain age now, becomes a detriment to society. Where, you have people, the influence talking about that person is old, go sit down, go get. But in African tradition, you see the elders molding the society, sitting and have the conversations. So that is something I think the Prime Minister and the minister have to come out and speak more on unity.
More forceful, yeah.
More forceful, and sometimes, either called out or disassociate from some of the rhetoric. But again, that if that's your base and your support system, I guess you don't want it. But there's other ways that you could deal with it. But I think it comes from the head.
Yeah.
And Grenada is becoming a place, the Americans say after the revolution was a subtle calm, a divisive calmness or something like that. And I don't know what, in the book, he says Grenada is an island of conflict by
Teddy Victor?
Yeah.
No, Brizan.
No, that was
Brizan.
Right.
Or Teddy was deception and conception.
Yeah. So, we've been, but generally speaking, Grenada and Grenadians, we come together when we have to. But that shouldn't be when only there's a crisis.
Exactly.
It should be a point where we live, because we could do it. We've been there. We do a pretty good job.
Listen. The Prime Minister has the largest bully pulpit, and he's the one that has to speak out on it more than anybody else. And then what they can do is to create incubators for partnership. Okay, where at the very community level, that that the Prime Minister visit strongholds of the opposition and talk to people and try to relate to them and invite them to become part of the process. You can't just go to your own community strongholds. You have to walk into the other well-known stronghold of the opposition and invite them to be part of the process. Invite them, you know. Listen, we are not going to change the current opposition leader. That's not going to happen, okay? But he has no future in Grenada either. So less irrelevant. So like you said, when I see a picture with Peter or any other member of the thing who interacting, it warms my heart. It warms my heart because it tells these people are not enemies. They're not fighting on each other. They don't dislike each other.
In most
They
cases,
all are, you know, the political space in intersection in Grenada is so tightly wound together that you almost can't go an entire day without running into somebody. You cannot.
Yeah.
You know, so what you gonna do? Walk by them and hit them a shoulder? No, you put an outstretched hand, you know, and listen, sometimes we don't give our people enough credit. Our people are smart enough to know that we can all be friends and not still support the same political party or be on the same political side, and we can disagree ferociously and not be angry or mad or malicious to one another. And I really want to see him speak out more and more on that. And maybe this thing is so important, and Toro speaks about that all the time. You can't build a country with 50+1. You can't.
No, you can't.
You could win the election with 50+1. You can't build a country with 50+1. You need a super majority to build and transform any country. Okay, and so if he begins to maybe put a commission in place, maybe put whatever you want to call it, you know, a national, whatever, call it something, national committee on advancing our humanity, advancing collaboration, you know, bring clergy together, bring young people together, bring, you know, business together, and let's see, because it's just in the same way that businesses in Grenada have to realize that they have to invest in what's happening at the community level.
Exactly.
When you do that, you create more successful young people. The more successful these young people become, the greater disposable income they have to spend in your business. It is an investment. It is not a handout. It's not a handout. When you give to community groups, when you give to the school in your neighborhood, when you mentor a young man or a young lady, you are investing in your business because they are your future consumers.
Yeah.
And the more successful they have, the more they'll be able to buy from you. So I don't know. I'm really big on Sina. You know, like I said, there used to be about 24. It went down to about 15. Now it's down to about 6. You know, this week I monitored them. It's only about 4. Even some of the ones who were so negative and so intellectually destructive following the last election, they realized that this is not working anymore. It's not working. You know, you can't grow your base by always being negative. Elections are never about the past. It's always about the future. It's always about the future. Okay? So if you can show people how you can empower them, that they can in turn grow to empower their family and their communities, they will gravitate to you. So we have to do something. I don't want to see my country continue on that those terrible fault lines. We have to come together and do something about it. Do something about it, because we're in this boat. We're in this boat together. And look at it. When disaster strike, it's not, the fire didn't say, let me burn down an NNDC home or an NNP home or this home or that home. When cancer strike, it doesn't say, well, let me go to the NNDC home this time. When you can't get service in the hospital, it didn't, the disease didn't say, okay, I'm gonna hit NNP this time. You know, we're in this together, man. We're in this together.
There is another part of the conversation that we've been going through the different conversation here, and I think one of these is here about the black men marrying the white women, and Toro responding to Raphael. True, we have to better, otherwise we'll keep dealing with symptoms instead of root cause of problems that could lead to permanent solutions. Not based on, okay, so let's go down further on. Black people marrying white is still regarded as a sign of achievement and a sign of lifting our nose, but it impacts the Black community and its difficulty lifting itself out of general state. Hold on. Okay. Black people marrying white is still regarded as a sign of achievement and a sign of lifting we nose. But this impacts the Black community and its difficulty lifting itself out of general state of poverty compared to white community and other communities. 2 generations later, the Black man's family looks completely white and their money is circulated mostly in the white community.
Absolutely.
Pablo Whisper, Lincoln Deputy, unfortunately, not enough of our people are appreciative of this reality and the overall impact on our place in the world. And the truth is truth. And what we do, and a Jewish man said, before $1 leave the community, he circulated 10 times in this.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to start doing the same thing. When we want to do business, we are trying somebody that have this service in our community that it may cost a little more, yes, because they don't buy in bulk together. They still don't buy by themselves, looking for a better deal. The best deal is to buy collectively and sell cheap. Inexpensive, not cheap, but inexpensive. So if we do not do that, we will have the same recycling of poverty and failed businesses. Right? Look at us here. Look at GMFM, for example. I have a magazine, and my daughter, we put a wholesale ad for free in the magazine for people. And my daughter calls some people and asks them to put the ad in. And they say, no, they can't do it. They don't have the money, right? And I understand that, right? To donate, no, they still won't do that, right? You're asking them for years to help you to build and to think. And somebody make a statement last time. Oh, you want to get rich? You understand what I'm saying? So they do not see us building together and having a collective approach to getting us out of the poverty syndrome. But they see you as an individual getting rich and they getting nothing, you know? And I think it's very sad when we start looking at people as using them as an opportunity to get rich and not seeing them, if we come collectively together, we can build together and have better and live better, you know? This is one of the failure of our communities, which tends to pinpoint and envision us becoming rich and they stay in poor. You know what I mean? If I help John build his magazine brand, he'll get rich and I'll get poor. But if John build, they don't see John will hire 10 or 20 more people that will benefit the community. If you go to a Chinese restaurant, how much Black people see work in a Chinese restaurant? You never worry about, you know, if I work for Mr. Wang and I'm a Wang or a Lee, Mr. Lee will get richer and Mr. Wang will get poor. They don't see that. They see the community benefiting. I think that's the kind of the mindset that have to be transferred to us, that we see ourselves as building a community and not just building self.
Well, and it's not that we can't learn that. The one community in the U.S., especially in the Black community, that has addressed that and has demonstrated that it works is the Muslim community. You know, they come together and they support each other's businesses, okay, and they spread that wealth in their community. No other organization or subs, sort of subsector of the Black community has been able to do that better than.
I get in here. I think you're going. You got? I think they will get lost in translation there.
Yes.
Yeah.
His mic dropped a bit.
Yeah. So Unison, just a little rehash before we go back to the thing. I'm gonna stop pulling this thing up, because one of the things that often happens in our community, right? We tend to forget that we have to be as one people. And tomorrow, I hope that before we start, I'm not even for starting, but make this pronouncement as a community that we're building together. We're not just doing this for one community, but what we're doing here is a start for all communities in Grenada. And even here, because there's people here who are going through some stuff and need help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I recently faced a situation, and all who I turned to couldn't help. You know what I mean? People think will be able to help, they can. Because they're not in the position to help you either. And in the how sad that is. But if collectively, how we doing now for
Grenada,
we could do the same thing and have a fund to help set up. You see, I had a conversation with a pastor of mine the other day. He said, John, I wish, we just started. He said, I wish we could have a fund set aside to help people pay out their mortgage fast. So we don't have to, and we don't have to struggle. So when this person pay off, then this person get, and help each other build, and business and homes, because homes could actually empower you to get another house, to buy a apartment building. 4 or 5 people come together, buy an apartment building, and you live in it. You know what I mean? And you live rent free, so to speak. But you create a community of a neighborhood, right? And I think we have to start thinking along those lines, not just disaster, but economic development for our people.
But John, you're so correct, and maybe I'm going out of a limb here, because the issue is, one of the issues, we don't have a community, for instance, like I remember the diaspora policy was based on Jamaica, Israel, and one of the African countries. I can't remember the other one right now. But what it was given back, and those communities, it should give back significance to the country and the communities also. In Grenada issue, we are very territorial, and we don't see the need to move as a collective upwards. The upward movement, we prefer for me to come to you and say, John, I need $1 every day. Then you say, look at $3. Let us see how we could build something and help you, so you don't come back to me. The Grenada, and some of the associations, I don't want to single out any association, but we don't have like a situation where welcoming new immigrants to Canada, for instance. We don't have that body. We cannot, maybe you cannot give them financially, but you can point them to fill in a form the correct way, medical. So in that way, you're building your communities. We've been in the Canadian community, and from the statistics show from 73 to now, Grenadians have contributed significantly, whether it is in politics, but we still have a building to call our own. And this is some of the microcosm.
You said something when the Prime Minister visited last July, and he said when he come back, you should have our own building.
Mhm.
And I stand up next to a friend, and the person say, "You are a dreamer. That ain't gonna happen." The man said, "It's not
The
gonna
mindset.
happen." He's talking about the maintenance of the building. He said, "But the Jamaican Association have a building that we use.
We use.
Do you know about the maintenance and the upkeep of the building? All of us using it. So why
John,
can't
so you know, we was struggling to get a location for tomorrow's brunch because now with the short time, right? So I called the Jamaican Center and she said, "No, you listen, I told you everything is booked up." So I went to her. I said, "Listen, Jennifer, do you know the talk in the Grenadian community?" She said, "What?" I said, "We, the Grenadians, have purchased this place for Jamaica many times because all our events hosted here."
Right?
She said, "You just start getting up the back room. Don't come back."
You understand?
The mindset that we have. I made that statement and I get a lot of backlash, even from my own organization.
But I saw the picture. And I started looking, I'm not driving or looking at place we could buy a bill. I mean, even me for Genesis Magazine, I have a picture right there, big, right in front of me. I'm sitting in the studio here and watching the picture.
Yeah.
You know? And not only watch it, I noticed I didn't put the date on it when I want to start the project. But it's there.
Yeah.
So we have to seriously start focusing on what we want, write it down, put plans in place. I mean, I have a booklet I made up for myself. And the name of the book is called Living Life by Design. Yes? I had a couple seminars already. I was the economic development minister in the church. And I used to do legal sessions and stuff like that. And out of that, a lot of people have own things because of that. Because now they have a roadmap, a plan to work with. Because the thing is just that you don't fill in the blanks. Yeah? And you follow the blanks that you're filling. And you follow the blanks that you're filling, you know, they say to make a bread, you need flour. You need water, you need salt, you need butter, you need sugar, some milk. And I put all of that together and I mix it together, put it in the oven at 350, put it in for 45 minutes, and I have a bread. You have a bread. Yes? So the same thing go for your life. You want that car. What kind of car do you want? What color? What size wheel? What size seat? What kind of color seat? You know, leather, cloth, or whatever. You write it down on the paper.
Yeah.
Who can help me? How much money I have?
But listen, I know we suffer from that problem, but that is not just a Grenada problem. That's a problem that
it's not a Grenada problem, right? But we can't put on the people who have this. We have to how we.
No. I'm not saying that, but what I'm trying to do is to not score. Yeah, it's not a problem that's unique to us. So I don't want to, you know, sort of overemphasize that or put too much blame on our people. There's a problem that plagues the Black community in general, and not just the Black community in the Americas or in Europe, but even on the continent.
Yeah.
So we have to listen. It troubles me greatly when I hear a Black brother or sister, and I have a few of them, good friends, who, when I may post something or speak about something, about the lingering effects of colonialism, what it has on us as a people, okay? And they say, well, you weren't there, you didn't live through that, you weren't in the field, you weren't, you know. But that was what divided us. And 400 years of telling us that we were not men and we were not women and we were less than human and we were sub this and sub that has almost been embedded in our DNA. And there's now, we have to struggle against that. We have to struggle against that. And we have to fight it off. Those negative effects, those negative lingering effects of colonialism, it's real. And it's still happening in our community every single day. And people are suffering from it because they grew up firmly believing that because of the color of their skin, they were less than somebody else, or they were not as important, or what they had to say had no value. or how they felt didn't really matter. Okay? Because if this person had, the right skin complexion for the right connection, they were the one who mattered. So we have to struggle against that and we have to fight it off, okay? Because it's real and it happens in our community. It is why we still, 50 years into so-called independence, we still have her, his, or whatever, I don't know, Royal police force and his or her Royal prison and people walking around with white fiber on their head and to enter our parliament and we still have a Fort George and a Fort Frederick and our streets are still named Melville
and better still, Delbert, you're independent, but you have to swear allegiance to the king and his
yes,
successors and he is still, and
and
you're
instead of
independent.
instead of our money having Alistair McIntyre, a renowned world economist, or Gary, or Code, or Bishop, or all these other people who made contribution, we have the Queen on our money. Or we still call it Sendell Tunnel. Sendell was one of the most brutal governor of his era.
Mm.
Okay? If this guy had more population, he would have made King Leopold look like a saint. Okay? How many of our people today know that he was actually a governor and a rather brutal one?
Yeah.
We got to get rid of this. We got to teach the lesson behind it. Why are we changing it? Not just changing. Tell people why you're changing it. Tell people why it's important for us to be celebrating our own heroes.
Yeah, but don't forget.
Why aren't our schools named after so many distinguished educators who lived in our generation? In Guave, Mr. Critchlow, Mr. Peters, Duncan, in Chantimel, Mr. Wood, Mr. Ferguson, Mr. Mark. In Victoria, Mr. Cargington John.
Is the conditioning there, but
okay. In Sotes, Mr. Carly John, Mr. Gordon, Miss Cannon, Mr. Reason from St. David's.
The conditioning of the mind.
Chessy, Mr. Mitchell in Bel Air Government School. Swan. I mean, why aren't we doing that? What's stopping us?
And from years to year, and I think one of the things that I noticed, right? Whenever people or leadership try to change stuff to our national heroes, they're looking at what they themselves did, the wrong that this person did. You can't give them accolades, you can't put them up there. But you have a list of name of people who have done more atrocities to the black race than the regular leaders. You understand? But
exactly.
You won't give Gary a blight, you won't give Bishop a blight, you won't give Bonaparte a blight because they are committing crime against the people. But these people that you're putting up and naming places for them, they are committing more atrocities in the world than our local leaders. And when I had Dennis, let me call Dennis' name too, because when he's saying that he don't want to see more Bishop on the $50 bill and thing, because they have people in prison. He forget that he's still wearing an Obama t-shirt that supposedly killed Bin Laden and dropping bombs on other African nations and stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? So the hypocrisy of our people to stigmatize and to label our people, local leaders, as criminals, but yet embracing other criminals that kill and remind and rape our ancestors. They want them to be the heroes still.
But John, that too comes with education and stuff, right?
But the people making that, the people making the same thing are educated people, probably wrongly educated.
But some of the pushback you get sometimes.
It's from the educated people.
Yeah. But then sometimes the masses just don't know. And who knows, keep them in that bubble of ignorance.
Can you imagine there's a group in Grenada who want to see the constitution remain the same?
No. They have a name now. What?
Yes, they have a name. Can you imagine that?
It's a pro-monarchist group.
Yeah.
It's called the Monarchist League.
Thank you very much, Pablo, and welcome. Thank you. I didn't know you was there. Thank you very much.
I,
The monarchist league. Can you imagine that?
if any group of people needed a public flogging in Market Square, it would be them. Come on.
I mean, can you
By,
imagine the
by the way,
idolatry?
by the way, somebody said tag me in a clip. I don't remember this week with a pastor doing something like so ridiculous. Okay. And I commented as a joke, because growing up in Grenada, that's a big joke for us. That man need a public flogging.
Yeah.
So I put up that on that was my comment. Facebook restricted that I'm promoting violence. So I have to appeal and tell them this is a cultural thing, okay? That where I come from, this is both a joke, also is part of the laws of the country that people could be publicly flogged for. So I'm waiting for them to I think I get a 7-day restriction. I could only post us.
I get 90 days for
some people need a public flogging, man. So I 12 o'clock when all them school children outside with that I'm running.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
So the whole Wheeling syndrome is still in full effect in us?
Yeah.
Never left.
I want to see, especially our schools, man, especially our schools. I want to see them rename our schools against well-known educators, well-known people who made, people like Brother George, who, in my alma mater, people like Mr. Francis, GBSS had so many legendary principals, so they would have a tough time picking one, but that would be up to them.
Just ask Toro, he'll give you one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You wouldn't have a problem choosing one at all.
But SAS again, all
Julian.
the schools are never outstanding educators, even sometimes people who never taught there, or sometimes just teachers like our friend Wendell DeRiggs, who I think still has the record for the number of GCE passes in Grenada, where he sent 105 people to do history and 100 got A's and the other 5 got B's. Nobody has ever surpassed that in Grenada, or Daigo Humphrey, who is a renowned cardiologist, a graduate of Shaper School, there's another gentleman from Concord. We used to call him Pola. He was a mathematician. The year he graduated from college here with his PhD, he was the most outstanding foreign student in the United States. How many Grenadians know that?
And that's the thing.
And I mean, look, GBSS has produced presidents and prime ministers for other countries.
Yeah. But you see, we are again limited by people who are willing to stand up or die for a cause. And I think he said, if you can find a cause to die for, you can't lead nobody. Yeah? So one must be willing to stand up and be counted in a meet of all opposition, willing to stand up and declare that. And sometimes I think we don't have enough people, our leadership, to say, hey, let us lead this foe. Let us hit these streets. Let us demonstrate. Let us get a petition going to change this stuff. Because most of the time we talk about the things that need to be done, but no real concerted effort is made to really do it.
Yeah.
So the idea here from here now on is to find a community group of people that will go out and pass around, get a petition, and petition your representative, your MP, to get this thing passed in Parliament. This is how it works. That's how it works. So 15,000 people on a signature, 2,000, whatever it is, and give it to the parliamentary representative, say, look, we are concerned about this school in our community, you want a name change. Look, a crosswalk have to be done on the street here. There will be people petitioning to get the crosswalk go up and give it to the MP or the councillor.
There was a post about 2 weeks ago talking about foreplay in Phil in St. Patrick's. And I was stunned that people did not know it was spelled F-O-N-D,
F-O-N-D, yeah.
even though if it's pronounced. And there was a lot of young people saying, "Oh, I didn't know that's how it was spelled." All right. And I suggested that, guys, it's time for us to rename that playing field. Okay. And I got so much pushback. No, we can't. We got to keep the name. Why? We just got to keep the name. We're losing our thing. Why? Who was Mr. Fall? Okay. What did he contribute to Grenada? And it turned out that it's not even a person. Fall in French means valley, low-lying area. Okay? So that is a low-lying area. That's how that area got its name, because it was a flat, low-lying area. Should we keep that name? Or should the Bartholomew brothers, who I think 3 members of the family, played both soccer and cricket for Grenada, should the field be renamed after them? And that our up-and-coming young people know who they are, because they all unfortunately passed away. Or should it be named after
Mr. Dog?
Mr. Dog there's so many other great sporting people from St. Patrick's, the cricketing people, or cricket people from Hermitage and from Montreach,
Devon Smith,
McLeish, Smith, Murray, all these guys in there. Why aren't we?
We have a wealth of people there, but
why aren't we Plains and Hermitage playing field? What's stopping us from renaming these places?
That's why
They're all government.
That's why I like, during the Revolution time, right? Yeah, Heroes Day and June 19th, right? We had no debate. I think Thoreau one time said the parliamentary democracy kind of stagnated us a bit. We got to go through this to pass and this to pass.
It has its drawback.
Yes. In the revolution, you say, okay, you want a playing field, we put a playing field up there. You understand? You want the airport, it's done down there. You want this done, it's done down there. Because we have it pen on paper, we just get it done. No environmentalists have to come and query about this and that. We get it done. And I think we have to have a sense of what's important to us. And how we should execute it and get it done and get all sides on board. The community level, bring to the community, say, look, we only rename the park, all in favor of it. A simple thing. Then your parliamentarian has no choice.
Take for instance the Queen's Park area. I mean, I've criticized it. The decision to destroy the botanical gardens and put the central government office.
Yeah.
But
the botanical garden, I have my reservation because the PRG neglected it too. You got to remember that.
Neglected it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny that.
We didn't give it the service he needed to make it.
But at least we had the Ministry of Agriculture. But listen, the Queen's Park area. We now have a national stadium and a national athletic field right next to each other, which was a stupid idea. Okay, the National Athletic Stadium should never have been built there. Okay, that area in Queen's Park used to have 5 or 6 other practice fields where teams can come and practice. Okay, now you don't have any of that. Okay, we don't have any of that. So we have lost that because everything happens now. So in a country where you have very limited high quality facilities, why concentrate both of them back to back next to each other?
Same place.
Okay, why wasn't the second one built in St. David's or in St. Andrews or wherever that was suited, so that it becomes a multi-purpose building that could be used for that and X number of other things? Because if you want to have a big event in St. Andrews or in St. Patrick's or in St. John's, there's really no place to have it. There's no adequate building. You know, and these are the kind of things that I don't know, that bothers me.
Yeah, I know it's tough, but that's the way it is. Well, guys, the time is not what 10 minutes, 5 minutes past 1 o'clock, and was to keep the chair. But
All right.
okay, Theo say here, the PRG People's Law, LOL, were a democracy. Now, with the Privy Council as the final court of appeal. So, in other words, I get up to saying the PRG People's Law, right, was the order of the day, wasn't the democratic, it was the democracy that we needed, right, to get things done. No true
But
Parliament.
in reality, once you have a majority in Parliament, you have a dictatorship.
Yeah, but it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the parliamentary system is a dictatorship.
Yeah, but again, I mean, people don't have education and all of that either, right? So
you know, the opposition can talk as much as they want. Once you have the vote to vote, that's all it takes.
that's it.
You know.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
are the bully pulpit.
Yeah, you know.
Use it.
But
Yeah.
there are things that we can begin to do around the edges that would not be appealable at the Privy Council level. You know, renaming our schools, renaming our national sites. You know, starting to put names on our local sporting and cultural facilities. You know, we need these things. We need it.
One thing I want to do is to rename Deputy Street. Lincoln and them have a street in Guelph that I don't like. And that's the first order of the day.
I'm not taking part in that one.
We have to remove that.
It's two, you know. It's upper and lower, you know. Upper and
Yeah,
lower.
That's two streets.
Upper and lower.
Yeah, give somebody one.
Give somebody one.
Take away one. Take away one.
Is
Oh, my.
upper, central, and lower.
Upper,
Oh,
yes,
yes,
street.
yes.
Yes,
That's three.
Central and lower. Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of streets, that renaming process had started under the, well, not just streets. That renaming process had started under the, anyway, good afternoon, everybody. It's Pablo here. I can't come on camera based on circumstances. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say something in that conversation. The renaming process had started under the revolution, as you guys know very well. And it was after the fall of the revolution, they turned back all these things. Speaking of streets, the not the main street, the Pradin Street, but the one in the back, Edward Street, which is the other main street, if you want to call it that, which we call Edward Street, had been renamed Daniel Small Street. Yeah?
Yeah.
And Daniel Small, I mean, you, Unison, you, Delbert, you know Chicken Small. That was Chicken and Peter Small's father. Yeah? He was a man, he was a colleague of T.A. Marichaud and so on, was involved in the trade union movement and all of that. Yeah? It was renamed after him. But when the revolution came to an end, it was returned to Edward Street. The one thing that had been renamed under the revolution and they didn't touch it was Cuthbert Peters passport. They didn't touch that one at all. Yeah. I guess they felt, well, that one was too sensitive, so they left that one alone. But we know that they did that process had started under the revolution. So, but we need to turn to that. Oh, while I'm on that, I hear, was it you, Delbert, or was it John who said rename whatever against Bernard who? Bernard who?
Bernard Cohen.
Bernard who? Where amongst you go see that?
Grenada's most effective.
All you want, brother John calling out to come. and the other mister from the east.
Yeah.
All you the lock up there, all you want the man to come and blow up, you know.
Our most competent and effective finance minister in our history.
You know,
I mean,
you know,
people forget that the Caribbean Central Bank was the PRG was spearheading all of that.
Yeah, they were integral part of it.
Bernard was the instrumental, very instrumental in having that set up. So people don't, like I said, we demonize our own local heroes for the little mistake they make, right? Whatever they have done. We don't want to see them on a piece of bread to eat, but we embracing all the colonial masters that have done so much destructive and murderous thing to our people. We're embracing them.
I think without continuing, Brother John, I think the organizers of our 50th anniversary celebration, they demonstrated something that seemed to be lost on a lot of us. Because in the aftermath of the celebration on February 7th, somebody messaged me to say, all you give Gary a pass. Gary was a dictator, and Gary with the Mongoose gang and the secret police and so on and so forth, and all you think as though Gary was, Gary was some kind of saint and so on. And what was lost and what has been lost, just like the one who is saying that, Morris should be on the commemorative alongside Gary on the commemorative $50 bill. So there you have it. One feel that Gary shouldn't get that kind of recognition. The other one feel Gary should get recognition, but Morris shouldn't be alongside him and so on. And what we tend to lose cognizance of and not appreciate, and which the committee really demonstrated to us, that you would have flaws.
Of course.
Because perfection does not exist in the human domain.
Yeah.
And whoever you want to label as a hero would have had their flaws.
Exactly.
If you focus on the flaws and just the negative element of that person's being, then you would have no heroes.
Exactly.
Then you would have no one to commend. And as I've said to the one who's complaining about Morris's photo being alongside Gary on the $50 bill, when he asked why he has to be there, I said to him, is because these are the two individuals who have impacted in a most significant way on the lives, the history, and the destiny of Grenadians over the past 50 years. No other two leaders have impacted on Grenada in the way that these two individuals have done. The other thing is, the point I've been really wanting to make in that regard is the fact that the committee saw the need at that point in time. It's not that we don't have to speak to all of those other issues and so on that surrounded, that is an indelible part of the history. You have to deal with all of it. But when you're looking to bring people together, when you're looking to speak to the contributions that led to where we are right now in terms of our development initiative, you can spend time focusing on whatever the shortcomings would have been. It was about indicating how Gary would have contributed to our development. It's about indicating how Morris would have contributed to our development. It's about indicating how Dr. Mitchell would have contributed to our development. It's about indicating how Tillman Thomas would have contributed to our development. Yeah? And unfortunately, we seem to take too much pride, as you have rightly said previously, in focusing on the shortcomings and the negatives and so on. And we give a lot of energy to that. And it's no wonder that we are where we are in terms of that state of mind. Yeah. And as one notable leader, Black leader out there says, we Black people, and this is not a Grenadian thing, as Delbert said a while ago, Black people are the least race-conscious people on the entire planet. Of all the different ethnic groups, we are the least race-conscious people right throughout. And it's because, and you hear it said among us, we point to the other people and we commend them. Oh, look at how these people and them living. And so we are the worst. Not taking cognizance of. We are saying that when I say Black people are the worst people, I am saying that I am. You're not seeing the I in the comment that you're making. But the I, as the Rastaman would say, the I is in that, because you're speaking about collective, which includes the I.
Yes, absolutely. They miss that. They always miss that.
You are saying that you are a no good.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're saying you are a no good. And this is something that we do all the time. Yeah. And we are not aware, as one of you, I think it was Delbert, you two, would have made the point earlier on, and Brother John, you did too, about how the indifference and the denial, how we are in denial as to the impact of that period, that shackle slavery period, on the mindset and thinking of our people, how we view ourselves. And they will tell you, oh, he wasn't there, and so on, and this thing did no impact on you. And they don't realize that just that thinking alone is a reflection of how that period would have impacted on you, and how you view things, and how you actually see yourself.
Pablo,
and that's the reason why, finally, that's the reason why you find that many of us would be, we spend, to use the word of a colleague of mine, we spend an inordinate amount of money on changing our looks and our appearance to be more in line and to be more reflective of our colonial masters. Yes, changing our skin complexion, our hair, or this, or that, and we spend and we spend and we spend, because, and not taking cognizance of, not even being aware of, that what we are demonstrating is a self-hatred, is a self-loathing.
It's funny that you say that, Pablo, because the other day, one of my good buddies, I had posted something, and he messaged me privately, and he was telling me, you need to stop this anti-colonial thing. This is a different era and whatnot.
Oh, please.
And then he said, I'm gonna start taking you seriously when you stop wearing suits. So I said, he said, well, why do you wear suits? So I had no defense. In the end, I come up and I say, my brother, I look good in suits. So that's why I wear them. I don't have any. But, it goes back during the pandemic, and I would just touch on something that you said about the sort of anti-hero. During the pandemic, nothing to do, I went back and started reading some books that I had read early, grounding with my brothers, how Europe developed and underdeveloped Africa. And some real
Delbert, stick up in there and hold your thought. I just want to challenge you on that one, what you say about this. I disagree with you on that one. Because hear this. Yes, you wear the suit because that is what is accepted out there. And if you when you have to go in certain forum or whatever, you know that is what is going to be more easily acceptable and so on. You don't, and as the old people don't say, you don't take out piss on you. You don't take you don't change how you see yourself, you don't change who you are. So it's just a piece of clothes that you put on for based on the occasion.
He was pulling my legs and taking a cheap shot, but you know, so I went back to reading this book, and I completed a sort of recommended list by a few friends, and then I didn't have anything, and the pandemic persisted. So I reached out to a brother of mine. He's an American brother, friend of mine, and he told me, "You should start reading the Jefferson Papers." And I'm like, okay, not my cup of tea, but what the hell? I have nothing to do. So he sent me some stuff on Jefferson, and I was reading this guy's writing. And 1 minute I was in total love with him, and the next minute I would have been strangling him. Okay? Because this was a man of such contradictions, okay? Who professed on one hand the right of the individual, probably like no other political leader before him, but at the same time had slaves in his place. So heroism is not about perfection. It's not about perfection. And as you so correctly say, we're human. None of us are perfect. None of us is. So the idea that for whatever mistake listen, I don't know, 20 years ago, you probably couldn't tell me anything about Gary. But should I continue down that silly path of continuing to profess that Gary did nothing for anybody in Grenada? I would be the stupid one to promote such a move.
I said that we revolutionaries had done so much damage to Gary. People never met Gary. They didn't want to hear nothing about Gary. But now
exactly, we completely discredited him. You know. Yeah. And meanwhile, I know what was crazy about that. Meanwhile, inside the party, we were studying the Gary 1961 revolution.
Can you imagine? So yeah, I mean,
we were studying him and emulating his tactics and strategy and everything. We were emulating it. All right. Yeah. But yet still on the outside, we were publicly humiliated.
You know, I remember when Bonal was here, he said that there's a certain lady in St. George's, he refused to call her name, that he wanted her support because she's a Gary supporter. But when he went to her, he couldn't tell her all Gary wrongs. Although he said to her, look, Gary has done fantastic. He did well for Grenada. He made well for Grenada. But we had to move to a different level. And we are the ones to take to the next level, not him. And that's how he was able to win her over to get her supporters to vote for him in the town of St. George's. You see? So all of that being said, that within the structure, the promotion and the tactics and was used. But in public, to win the people's support in a big way, you had to do the discrediting.
You had to pull him down. You had to pull him down. Yeah. Knock him down a few notches.
Yeah. Okay. Unison, I got it ready to come back for Pablo show. So Pablo be having a very exciting, informative show this evening at 3 p.m. here with the XPRA. So get up, come out, bring somebody, tell somebody, share the poster, those of you who have the poster. So the camera, the XPRA will be here with Pablo at 3 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to an exciting show. But before we go, I would like Unison Joseph to give us a closing on the event tomorrow and encourage our people to come out to the event tomorrow, because it is important that we come out and support Shantimel tomorrow. All right. So Unison, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you once again, John Delbert. everyone for tuning in. I mean, today have been a lot of information. We touched on a whole array of things, and I think, John, that's a testament of you not being here for the last 3 weeks. So
I'm making up. Kissing and makeup.
But tomorrow is we're gonna be coming together for this worthy cause, and as Grenadians, we always come together for causes like this at this time. But there's so much more that we could do, and that could just be the beginning of a long-standing partnership with each other. The Grenada disaster will be spearheading, but this is a community event. The sponsors, everyone will be recognized, and the letter will be sent to Grenada of your participation. So this will be a community event for all of us to show the support for our Grenadians here and abroad. And the food will be extensive. The food will be tasty. We have Ola Kitchen, the crab and coconut. We have the fish coming from Ola's Kitchen. We have other partners, Nutmeg Creole, making the pea soup. We have other individuals making the Marby, the Poker support group, making the Marby, the fish cake batter. So this is just to signify that we coming together. And the bar is a Sunday, so we cannot scale long, but there'll be beverages for the guys that consume. So we have a bar on site. And at the end of it, we will have a summary.
Didn't Christ turn water into wine, man?
Well, that's what I always say about but they say I'm not a church person.
The best wine too. That must be Jesus up, you know. The best wine, say the best wine for last.
But whenever I use that line, they say I don't go to church, so I can't,
I'm just trying to get you in trouble, that's all.
Oh yeah, I mean, so both of you listen.
Yeah, so after the event, we will have the oversight committee will meet, and we'll have a public display of telling the people how much money we raise from that event. And all the money collected will be at NADMA's request and direction of how to disperse or how to go about it. So you will have an update, a financial update, directly after the event. So the event will be on Sunday. So we hopefully carry everything by next Sunday. So there wouldn't be no delay and disbursement of funds. So then you could see exactly how much money we collected and what the outcome, how the money was disbursed. And that is your money. So we will have, plus we have the ongoing event. We'll have a bigger event later on in the year for that same cause as well. So as we say, this is a year-long event, a year-long support system that we put in place. We say a year-long, but there's other organizations that we hoping will come on board and pick up some of the mantle and help rebuild our communities. And John touched on something. He says that we have Grenadians here that struggle also. Maybe that will be a catalyst also to look after our own here, our small community. So looking forward to meeting. And I know when Delbert send his US across, we'll be getting a little extra push. Because I think the rate now, John, is 139, something like that. So, you know, that could buy a few bakes and sausage. So thank you.
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah, so it is important for us to be part of this tomorrow. I'll go to church tomorrow to do some more good thing, but I strongly suggesting and asking for the community to come out and support that venture tomorrow to make sure that our people in St. Patrick's know that there is a diaspora, the 16th constituency, is in full support of them, and that we are supporting them to the hilt. For many of us, we may have know people in Shantimel may have suffered the loss, so it is imperative that we put our best foot forward to help support the Shantimel people. And as a continuum, we do it every time, not just for them, but keep that kind of a preparedness happening, keep the funds at bay, the clothing at bay, the food at bay, so when something happens, I don't prepare it again, it's already prepared and ready to ship, you know? Because one of the things we wait until disaster happens are collecting. You should have a warehouse storing stuff that could stay for a long shelf life, you know? So when the time comes for disbursing, we just open the warehouse and say, hey, you know, this truck or this plane going tomorrow, I'll get on a plane for the next 2 days. And instead of having to go hustle to put stuff together, we should have a warehouse, warehousing those stuff and them going forward, you know? And so the dream of Mr. Unison building should have a warehouse attached to that where we store our dry goods and stuff for disbursement, whether locally here or internationally to our Grenadian people. So again, folks, tomorrow the brunch, diaspora brunch happening at 995 our road, GCA. That's our road. And you can call Mr. Unison and his number, you could give me a number again, Unison?
416-856-3663.
All right, there you have it. And folks, join us again next week, Saturday morning from 10 o'clock. And not only that, soon to resume, and probably I want to ask Pablo to do that, start for me, the Saturday night talking point show and get the regular folks to come back on. Let's have some discussion among our politics in our region again. All right, so folks, have a pleasant afternoon. Pablo is up at 3 o'clock. I will take a break and come back at 3 o'clock with Pablo. Delbert, looking forward to see you around.
Yeah, I don't go yet, you know.
I know. You're there.
I don't go yet, I did still. But I wanted to say, I hear all you talking about the 16th constituency and so on. But you're careful, you know, because the New York grouping might just be challenging all you, because they does take claim to the 16th constituency too. I don't know how they're working out that one. So anyway, I don't know how they're working out that one.
I think
the New York grouping and Delbert there, and he don't say nothing, you know. But the New York grouping does take claim to the 16th constituency, you know. So I don't know how something might some mechanism might have to be put in place to determine qualify for 16 and so on going forward.
I have to straddle the fence, Pablo. I have interest.
You have to straddle the fence. All right. Yeah. But so in any event, as Brother John says, we will be back at 3 p.m. The ex-PRA and Patriots grouping will be represented by the president, Mr. Manley Philip, and the public relations officer, Mr. Dane Philip, and they are going to be guests on the Heart of the Matter from 3 p.m. this afternoon. The theme for our conversation is the essence of the 1970 Grenadian 1979 revolution. Okay, so, and listen, this ain't gonna be one of those histrionic sessions where we're talking about, oh, where were you on March 13th and where were you on October this and that, and so not on my program. Okay?
Yeah.
I know you have people who come on my program already, and we were looking at it wasn't the essence, but the significance of the development programs from the revolution to our development agenda. What are the lessons that we can learn from that and how we can contribute? And man wanted to get into, and I get locked up, and I had to say, listen, this is not what this session is about, and they do so, and this is not what this is about. We have to be able to put that period in context.
Of course.
The aftermath of, listen, as I said earlier on, this is an element of our history. It is of the life and history of Grenada. We can't erase it. We can't wipe it off. It happened. We had March 13, 1979, and it ended in October of 1983. So we had that period, and a variety of things happened in between. And all of that would have impacted in one way or another on the life, on the history, and everything relating to Grenada. So as a mature and growing people, we have to be able to discuss these things, okay? And put them in its proper, and proper is the operative word here, context. Because there are some people who have a tendency to just put things in any context. They just throw it in. No matter what you're talking about, they just have to throw it in. You know, and some things, though, are not really suited. When you're cooking certain kind of food and so, you don't put certain thing in it. You know? I don't see people putting the turmeric and so on and so forth in fish broth. You know, when you're cooking,
you can't put pasta sauce in oil down.
But that is what some people want to do when it comes to these matters. You know, and we have to put it in the proper context. And one of the things that contribute to where we are right now, in terms of our younger generations not having an awareness and an appreciation of that period at all, is the fact that in the immediate aftermath of the fall of the revolution, there was a concerted effort to erase everything. I don't know what these people were saying to themselves. How do you expect that to happen? That we are going to go forward as a nation and behave as though, oh, all of these things never happened, and just forget about it and move on. Life is not like that. Life is so. And I don't know why some people feel that that is the way it's supposed to be. Okay? So we have to be able to discuss these things and have an appreciation on how it happens. Because, Brother John, I can tell you, when I shared the theme, there were concerns raised by some, oh, well, you know, this thing, I thought this thing was just about, you know, we talking about the formation of the group and what it accomplished and so on and so forth. And I listened and I say, okay, we can discuss it. It's not cast in stone, but let's discuss it and see, you know, and see what happens. So we discussed it, and I explained to them just what I just said. And I also said to them that, listen, if there was not a people's revolution, if there wasn't a PRG, if there wasn't a People's Revolutionary Army, there would be no need at this point in time to be forming a group that you call the XPRA and Patriots, whatever. If the revolution didn't happen, why would we be for? And if you didn't have a PRG and you didn't have a PRA, why would you be forming a XPRA grouping? It is because this happened. This is why we would see the need at this point in time to have an XPRA. So we have to be able to put things in the proper context. Okay? And it brought an extended conversation, and at the end of the day, they said, Pablo, I'm in total agreement with you. I see where you're coming from. You have enlightened us. Let's move forward with the team. So we have to deal with that matter and have an appreciation, have an understanding of the real essence of the revolution in the history of Grenada. Okay, so join me at 3 p.m. Brother John, yes, Brother John, as usual, is going to be
technical operator.
And he always, I expect him to have an input into the conversation. and so on. And it's going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
Cheers.
I'm looking forward to it, and I know Delbert is, and Toro, I know
Yeah,
Toro going to join in.
I didn't speak to you since last week, Pablo, but last week's program was
amazing.
It was really one of the best programs. One of the best programs we had on this.
I came away from it feeling rather good.
Yeah.
And to have Dr. Guido Marcel, and tell you the truth, although Dr. Guido Marcel came through Jules, Dean Jules. Yeah. I had spoken with Jules a couple of weeks earlier and so on, and he said, well, he could get Dr. Marcel to join us. I said, well, okay, go ahead. All right. So when we got down to crunch time, and I said, did you check Dr. Marcel? He said, no, Pablo, I didn't, been so preoccupied otherwise, whatever, but he's gonna come, And so his inclusion, he was notified, I should say, at the last minute.
Yeah.
And he's there.
Yeah.
It demonstrates how committed he is to contributing to the conversation. It demonstrates how committed he is towards ensuring that we are enlightened, that the information, the pertinent information, given his expertise.
I think one of the things, Pablo, I was particularly loved about it, he's not just talking that talk, he's living that life.
He's living it.
Yes.
That's the thing. He is living it, And one thing I can tell you is that there are going to be more such sessions.
Yeah.
And we are definitely looking at, given how critical this is, and there is a reason why the theme was our environment, our what was it? Our something else, and our human existence. Yeah?
Mm.
Our climate, our environment, and our human existence. Because
I remember
all of these things has to do with our human existence. And when you listen to the information coming from the 3 people I had as guests, you would appreciate how significant the whole issue of global warming, the whole issue of sea level rising, and all that goes with it to our human existence. Because we have seen other species.
Yeah.
Historically, we know over the years, and even before our very eyes, we are seeing certain species becoming extinct. The human species can also become extinct if we don't do the right thing.
I remember the point that he made, that one really took me back, boy, where he talked about why we had the old mottel trees planted throughout the land. And in the land that we have in my family own in the Bel Air part of St. Mark's, up on top where they built that playing field there. My father had, I don't know, probably about 6 or 8, and it was not him who planted it, was certainly maybe my grandparents or earlier on, had these mottel trees planted at strategic points in that land. And they were an annoyance, And one time I decided to cut one down. So, I used to cut the skin and let it die. And my father caught me. And he said, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I'm like, why, Dad? Because it's prickly, it's everything, it drops all the leaves. When I have to come and help and cut below it, I have to deal with just let's cut them down. And he told me, no, that tree is important because that tree keeps the air in the dry season. That tree feeds water to the plants around it. And, he's my father, so I just take it at face value. Did agriculture science in school. Did very well in it. Never heard that. All right? So when he said that, I was like, damn, my dad was right on the science, man. You know, it was that these our ancestral generation, they knew a lot of things that were good, good for us, and we walked away from it, and now we're suffering because definitely now my friends who stayed in sort of lived in Grenada all their life that I grew up with in the village, whenever I visit, we talk about the effects of global climate change. And they say, Beaver, this is not what we grew up with. This is not what we grew up with, you know? It is definitely, you can see the effects, they can feel the effects because they live there every day. And what we do in the environment matters, you know. So that was a very, very informative program. I was on, and I'm going to tune in later on too.
Yep. Well, our intention is to take this thing to a different level. We want to continue not just having these programs, these online programs, okay? And there's going to be another one. We're going to be looking at other matters and so. But the intention is to take these things into the public domain otherwise, like having public forums, other public forums, right? Whether it's town hall meetings, whether it's producing electronic or printed pamphlets and whatever. We have to, because as I said, it is all about our human existence. And the earth ain't gonna be going away. Is we were dead.
No. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
The famous comedian George Carlin used to always say that.
Is we were dead. All right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
all right, gentlemen.
John.
I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
But Unison, hold on, let me just turn this one. Trying to monitor this thing. Yeah. Unison
done gone.
You got already. Okay. So in the next 45 minutes, Pablo, we'll be back with you. And hoping that this could be a really good show again this evening. And yeah, just let it choose forward with me. And I'll keep on sharing the link again to people to come on to watch on the GMFM page on YouTube. All right. So
Roger that. Yeah, man. Cheers.
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out. Yeah. All right. So let me do this here. And I had a thing here to do. I don't see it again. Where it is gone to. Wow. Okay, let me pull it up. I'll probably pull up this one here. Play this one from over here. It's only 50.
They run them off. They say Grenada is a waste of time. They cast them down. They say that the country is in decline. Since 74, and it's like she don't really go nowhere. In fact, they know that she has been in river since that day. But I am her son, a devoted one, with the rod and staff. I'm here on her behalf, just to issue a simple message. Exercise some restraint. I want to tell her children hold some strength. She's not getting up, she's only 15. It's still growing, still maturing. Relax and take it easy. Cause many others who are rushing us, they go and roll, they stop and go, and they see in a lot of trouble. Financially, they are unstable. So you criticize them, confidence. Chief is Ravo, Cutlass and gun, Skyride and go. Put keep on gun, the Yankee gun. She's still alive, many others would not survive. So please, please, please give us some time. She's not getting up time. She's only 10. Give us some time. She's not getting up time. She just reached half a century straight. Yeah. The Lambesa, they say that our development is slow. They talk tata, but them in wherever they may go. If Christopher Columbus come back alive, you see, as he see her, he will recognize her immediately. But they talking trash, they deserve some lash. She is so unique, beautiful and sweet, and she is developing, but it is not a secret. She has somewhere to go, I will admit. That's why I say give her some time. She's not getting up right. She's only 10. She's still growing, still maturing. Relax and take it easy. Oh, one happy day, she don't punch above her weight. So much patriarch, have a rocking path. She winning medals in athletics, in the World Games and the Olympics. I don't put some respect to her name. She says that deadly song, not that gun. America, she take a heat, but in retreat, many others would not make it. So please, please, please give us some time. She's not getting her time. She's only 10. Give us some time. She's not getting her time. She's only half a century. I know for sure infrastructure could never compare with quite a few of the bigger countries we have out there. And in healthcare and in agriculture, she way behind. I am aware that there's some serious mountains to climb. But why they compare, they're not being here. It's like cheese and chalk. Like foxes that the bigger countries they're referencing, like they can end up they existing, while we little countries slowly marching. That's why I sing, give her some time. She's not getting up right. She's only 10. She's still working, still maturing. Despite that wrong, she made it on mark. There's the flower show. We chop and go, and it one thing.